Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Ware Board of Selectmen for April 4th. We started at 6:30. We met with a resident on Waterman Road, and that brings us to 6:45, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment.
Frank Campana. I hope I can make it in 3 minutes. If not, I'll go next time. I sat in the your last selectmen's meeting when there were some appointments, a couple of appointments to the planning board. And it was interesting to see, certainly my observation, it was interesting to see how well the process, that process of appointing people, to boards and commissions went. In fact, that meeting, it went so well that both of the appointments to the planning board did not have to be here to speak. I know in the process of, when you appoint people, you like to have them, come in and say why they wanted either get appointed or reappointed. So anyway, that's how well the process worked. And I compare it to, I think it was probably, well, I know it was last year, about the same time, when there were a couple of people that were looking for reappointments. And again, I'm not coming to the defense of anybody. They can do that on their own. But in any event, there were two appointments that came before the board, and neither person got a nomination, never got past a nomination. So there's, 180-degree difference between your last meeting and last year. And again, as my observation, going back to last year and comparing it to this year, I think the decisions were made very personally, on the personalities. I'm not questioning the most recent appointments. They certainly had qualifications. They've been on that board, so, qualifications is not an issue. But the people that were not nominated last year, they had differing views from the Board of Selectmen, and it was during relation to the budgets and the process. They had differing views of the Board of Selectmen on the budgets, and one actually was serving on the Finance Committee and had a different view of the Finance Committee. So it was nothing but personalities last year, last year and this year. I think the process needs to be, re-examined. And if I still have time within my 3 minutes, again, your last meeting, it came up to the board about, Selectman Burdick brought it up, about gutters. Really need gutters on the Brown Building on East Street. And the comment was made, I didn't do my research, I didn't look at the minutes, I didn't look at the YouTube, but there was a comment made by a board member and consensus of the board that, well, we can't do gutters because we have a default budget. Well, I remember, again, sometime last year, when the roof was discussed, roof replacement was discussed on that building, the board, and I remember John, Selectman Van, more specifically, was a proponent of how it was to be funded. And it was not to be funded by taxpayers' money. And that was the agreement of the board at that time. In fact, there was even research done that was requested to look into who was responsible for maintaining that that building, monetarily. So when the gutters were mentioned in the last meeting, nothing was said other than, well, we can't do it, we have to go in the, and I'm paraphrasing my words, has to go in the back burner because we have a default budget. Well, why wasn't it raised that, like the roof, make that comparison? Well, the default budget, or even a proposed budget, does not fund the gutters. It was, I know there's somebody shaking their head, so I don't know what the difference between the funding, non-taxpayers' money funding roof replacement or taxpayers' money replacing the gutters. So just those couple of things, and I hope I made it within the 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Anybody else for public comment? Okay. We'll move on to appointment to planning board, new member. Recognize Dana Jean.
She made it.
I did. I'm still propped up with 800 ibuprofen 3 times a day, but I'm
You're-
upright for the first time in a week and a half at least. Thanks for your patience. Really
course.
appreciate it. I'm Danny Jean Stewart. I live over on Centerbrook Lane, number 50B. What is it that you would like to know?
Why the planning board?
I've been on planning board in Londonderry. I found it to be a very challenging exercise. Moved there in '98. Came here in '05 because it's beautiful here. I couldn't wait to get out of the town I grew up in because much like this town, very rural. So as a teenager who wanted out, and where am I living now? Grew up in Tingsboro, Mass. So 40, 50 years ago, it was a lot like this. I think the planning board has an impact on the quality of life for people in town for generations to come. And I think it's important work. And I think in Londonderry, we're struggling with closing the barn door after the horse was out. The horse, the cows, the chickens,
The whole barn.
Route 102, the whole barn. And I think, I know that we're not going to prevent people developing their property. They have a right to do that. But I think it's important, perhaps now, as I see some commercial creep starting to come up from the south, to look at how we might shape how that looks to try to maintain the character of the town. And that's why planning board.
And how do you see that character? I mean, what if you had to envision it? Is it white clapboards and black shutters, or what is your vision?
I'm more thinking about how do we preserve what it looks like from the road. So what can we do to not have pavement to the edge of the road or big buildings to the edge of the road? I don't know what's appropriate for here, and that's what the planning board's job is to do, is to look at that and to see what can we do? What can we do that's reasonable? What can we do that doesn't put an undue burden on a developer? Because one of the things I would not like to see is hulking edifices and lots of pavement butted right up against the roadway. I think it would ruin the entire corridor that comes through town.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else got anything? No? This is a full member?
Alternate,
Alternate.
For what period of time?
3 years.
3 years, yeah.
So that would put them at how many alternates now?
This would be 4.
That's the max? Is that right?
No, you can have 5. 5 and 5.
Okay.
So we were ahead of, were that many people?
Back when I first started 27 years ago, you
Wow.
had 5 and 5.
Wow.
You had
Okay.
every committee was full.
Well, that was a day or two ago.
It was a day or two ago.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll entertain a motion from the board, if so.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Danny Jean Stewart as a new member of the planning board for 3 years
Yeah, 3-year term as an alternate.
as an alternate.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Appreciate your patience with
No worries.
No worries.
getting here.
Life happens.
Thanks.
All
Thank
the
you, Danny
time.
Jean.
Thanks, Dan and Jean.
As much as we encourage you to, you don't have to stick around. You can leave if you'd like.
Well, I'm interested in.
Okay, perfect. Like I said, as much as we're excited to have you
I
stay.
just found out. I'm very interested in.
See one is shocked back there. Uh-oh.
Now he's in the spotlight.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move forward. We'll recognize Benji Knapp for awarding bids.
Before he starts, I'm going to announce that I do have conflicts with this, and I'm going to be recusing myself from any discussion and voting. Would you like me to sit in the audience?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. Board? No?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
How we doing?
Oh, It's early.
Welcome aboard, Kevin.
Thank you.
So I sent all my bids out that were ready. The big plow truck, 10-wheeler plow truck, the medium-duty 5500 to equip that truck and to equip the 10-wheel plow truck, paving, reclaiming, and gravel crushing. Every year, either Beth or Naomi helps me take notes. Appreciate it. This year was Beth, and she actually was nice enough because Joe was on vacation.
Thanks, Ben.
Surprise all that for me, so thank you. Good.
Look at this. Ta-da.
You can tell I didn't do it. You weren't gonna lie about it.
Thank you.
Oh, I need something more.
Well, he's not
You
voting,
can
so
have, she can have mine, that's fine.
we can share.
I had one more, too. Oh, I do have one more.
Thanks.
So I guess we can start either on the front page or start with the easiest, whichever you'd rather.
Front page looks good.
All right. So I sent out for the 10-wheel plow truck chassis. We put them all out legally in the paper and on the internet and everything. I reached out to Kenworth International, McDivitt, who sells just about everything but Kenworth or International, and we received 3 bids, 1 being a Western Star and 2 being 2 different series of International trucks. Everyone else did not opt to bid. I meant to get my yellow highlighter out before I got here and I just didn't, but my recommendation for you would be the HX 520 from Allegiance, which is, we all know as Liberty International. It is a little more than the HV 513 and less than the Western Star. The Western Star, which is the one we've had 4 of now, actually the price on this paper with the extended warranties that you guys have always opted to get is more money than I have to put it together. So, the HV 513 has the Navistar motor in it, which I
Absolutely
do
not.
not like. The HX 520, I think, it's only just a little bit more, and it's got the X15 Cummins in it. It's a very impressive truck, and it's been way out of sight and price until now. So, the cab and chassis was $143,745. Their trade-in allowance was $15,000, and the extended warranties that were comparable to somewhat, because Cummins doesn't quite have the warranties that Daimler has, but as comparable as we could get. If you opted to go with the extended warranties, we don't have to, is $135,149. Also, if you look over on the right of your paper, there's just a few options that they priced out: aluminum air tank, stainless steel fuel tank straps, stainless steel def cover, and stainless steel braided air compressor lines, and a chassis coating with a special primer on it. All of those things added up is $1,400. I think it's well worth it. Stainless steel fuel tank straps, $225, more than that for steel ones. Now, on all this stuff is, you say rust preventative, but rust,
They
it's
don't
not
rust. They don't
preventative.
rust very often.
Right. So, so I would recommend to put that for $1,400, put that in there, which would bring the price to $136,149 for the HX 520, and it's a year out.
What did you,
Yeah, what's the budget?
yeah, what was the budget for the chassis?
It- Well, the whole truck was $260.
Benji, the math, I think the math might be,
Yeah, that's right.
the 135, 149, if you add 14, should be 136, 549. Yep.
Yep, that's what I had on my phone too. I must have wrote it wrong. Should be 136, 549.
Okay.
That's what I had on my calculator, and I didn't put it on the paper right. Thank you. And the extended warranties was just because you guys always want to go with them. I'm not a huge warranty person. I don't think I've ever used one my whole entire life, and they do come with a certain amount of factory warranties, so. I bought them
I
for
get
my
the
wife's
one warranty
car.
that saved us some money.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that was an extended one that we purchased, though. I think
It was extended.
Was it?
Yep, and it was just right at the end of it too, and it saved us
Well, I did say it was.
20-something thousand dollars.
Yeah, it did. The backhoe transmission he's talking about.
I think warranties, especially with all the electronics and after treatment, are worth their weight in gold,
Okay.
100%. Now, that's got the Allison in it,
That's got the Allison.
4,000, I
Has,
take it, if it's got an X15.
You can pass this around if you want. It's the. Trying to give you too much, yeah.
You said we have 4 star cars now?
We have 4 stars, yep.
Okay. Were they all about a year out?
Star said they might be able to get one in the last quarter this year.
Okay.
And if you dropped all the warranties off it, we might be able to, it'll just skim under it.
Okay. And what did we put in the warrant? Was it 260?
260.
260 total.
Okay.
There's no nothing you can add or drop on the bodies.
No,
So
that's a
we
flat
gotta
rate.
do it here in the trucks if we wanna drop warranties or not have the extras on the side. And the only extras on the side are the internationals.
Mhm.
As you guys can see there, so.
$4,500.
The rest of the spec, is that the same as the Western Stars? Suspension, et cetera?
Yeah, the transmission, suspension, everything's all spec the same.
Okay.
As far as the brand and.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Is the Western Star something that you've always, it was the same model that you've got of several of them?
Yeah, they changed them a hair in the cab, but yeah, same,
Because you're only shy by $1,700.
yep.
The rear ends the suspension in the rears, are those walking beam or are they the,
Hendrickson spring.
but are they walking beam or are they that Hall Max? The one with rubber blocks in it.
No, it's the walking beam.
All right, this is, okay.
I don't really know. I don't really call it a walking beam, I guess, but I guess
Well, it's bulletproof, I know that. It's got spring packs under it. Yeah.
we broke a few springs. They get wicked traction. That's what we're after.
Ben, did you mention that the market's softening a bit?
For,
I mean, you mentioned earlier in your presentation that the numbers, you couldn't have gotten to these numbers earlier. That's what I heard anyway. Have you seen the numbers starting to come back into balance or still growing like crazy?
yeah, it's unfortunate we didn't get one last year because we all knew a year out was coming and we still would be getting a truck even though it was last year's truck. Now we're gonna be 2 winners without getting one.
And,
Nothing we can do about it.
and which one we're trading one in?
Yeah, we're trading in a T5, which is a 6-wheeler Volvo with a 8LL standard in it.
Okay. All right. All right, I mean, I'm all for
Western Star's close. You'd have to drop some warranties or something. It's,
yeah.
Western Star, though, hang on, I'm looking at something.
And that was with the DD13?
yep.
Yep.
This has the X15.
Right.
Yeah, the only thing I mean, I don't know what it matters. But he has $58,000 in his highway truck and equipment
Already.
already. So if you took the $1,700 out of that, or if you asked McDivitt if he'd give you 15 for it instead of 5.
Or even jack that to 75, it'd be that much closer.
Well, I mean, I don't know anything about trucks.
Right.
I'm just saying that we've always been sticking with
Right.
what we have.
Right.
Same. I mean, that's why we've always gone with Tenco bodies. That's why we've always gone.
And that's why I'm hesitant to go with the International. I think it's a good drivetrain. I'm not disputing that.
The only thing I can say about the International is since I've been there, we've had 3 International 6-wheelers with the Cummonses, and they've probably been, other than the Kenworth, the best trucks the town's ever owned.
Right. Right.
No, I don't, like I said,
But
I don't
I
know
like
anything.
being kind of the same.
Uniformity, that was kind of my thought.
We do have the same transmission, same suspensions. We have great luck with the Cummins and the Kenworth that we have, so. It doesn't matter that much to me, other than, it doesn't really matter that much to me. That's why I recommended that one.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the motor in the other one. I don't know one single person that's ever had great luck.
No.
So that's the only reason I'm not recommending the cheapest truck.
Absolutely not.
I
No.
know a lot of people in this business.
No,
Some
that-
say, well, I haven't had trouble yet, but no one said I love them. So.
No, that truck would probably be in the shop more than be plowing the streets, so.
It's between this one and the Western Star.
So you said we have 4 Western Stars, that would obviously, then this one would be a mate to it if we bought one of them.
Similar, yep. They've changed the body style, of course.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not exactly the same, but it's the same motor and
Yep.
et cetera, but
Supposed to be.
Cummins is a good motor as well. Like you said, I mean, International doesn't make a bad truck, it's just, I would just think of uniformity, that's all.
If the mechanic was standing here, which pick would he have?
I don't know. He liked the looks of the International. We haven't had a ton of. We've had some emission troubles with the Western Star,
Who hasn't?
but who hasn't? I guess
Yeah.
we haven't had any trouble with that Kenworth. That's got a Cummins in it. I'm a Cummins fan, so I'm a little biased, but
Yeah.
I've never had bad luck with the Cummins my whole life. I own 3 of them, and the town's owned a number of them, and we've never had an issue ever.
Yeah.
But we've never had an issue with the Western Stars either, as far as engines go. So they all get the same transmissions, same rear end suspensions, they have same dump bodies, same tires. So
Right.
it really comes down to the engine and the dealership.
Yeah.
And you can drop the $1,400 off the International on the right side. That's not a big deal. It just I thought all that stuff. If you go to the parts store and buy fuel tank straps, not stainless steel, they're more than $225.
No,
so I think it's worth the upgrade.
It makes sense to put all that on there,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, that's pretty, that's modest.
I'll entertain a motion.
I think there's value, before we do that, I think there is value in the consistency, you know,
Yeah,
so.
but,
just simplification of the fleet opposed to,
but like, you know, like Ben
yeah,
said,
the
there's-
gears, it's how the
there-
truck
there's been
looks.
there's been a change in the cab, in that model.
That's what they said.
There's
I
been
don't
there's
know.
been a line change, so it's not, we have 4, and we would have 4 plus 1 that's close, but not exactly the same.
Right,
So,
yeah, it's
the
not,
other thing that I can say, in this particular bid, I'm gonna abstain, because I know the salesman from Western Star, to be full disclosure. But in defense of the Cummins motor, there's a lot more service facilities and a lot more familiarity with it in the area. And that's why the company I work for, we switched our fleet over to the Cummins from the Detroit. So, I think there's a lot to say about that. Because you're kind of tied to Manchester or Seabrook with the Western Star product.
And those both have Jacobs engine brakes too, which the HV13 at the top does not.
Yeah, no, I think the top one's a no-brainer. It's,
They both
again,
have.
there's a lot of, I have not, like you said, I have not heard one good thing about that Max Force motor. Not one. So,
okay, I'm good. Obviously defer to Mr. Knapp on this one as far as Same running gear on both trucks.
Yep.
Strictly just cosmetics primarily. So if you're good with that, the HX 520, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So-
I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid of Allegiance Truck International, the HX 520 cab and chassis for a total of $136,549.
Is there a second?
Second,
Moving seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
yes.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
Abstain. Noes? Okay.
What's the lead time for that truck?
Here,
Do you want to stay with the trucks?
you can.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the medium-sized truck.
This one I reached out to, again, it was in all the papers, well, not in all the papers, but in the paper on the net. Allegiance, McMullen Chevrolet, Ram, at least them ones, anyway. Ram called me 3 times and I never received a bid, so. So it came down, Allegiance, the CV 515 and the Chevy Silverado, and they're the exact same truck. Just the emblem on the steering wheel and on the hood. And this Silverado came out a little bit cheaper at $57,876. So
Without options, though.
right, but the CV, the price listed is not the options in it.
Okay.
Those aren't added into, we'd have to add those.
Okay, so you're talking upwards of 73, 4.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't add those into that for you guys because I wasn't gonna recommend that truck, that's why. And the only reason, because I like the looks of those CVs, is this, they're the exact, they come off the same assembly line, I've been told actually by both salesmen. So,
Right.
it's quite a little different. The International 63,925, the Chevy was 57,876, so that's the.
Minus the specs, minus the additions. Yeah. I guess my question would be, I mean, with the Silverado, has that got the diff lock, et cetera?
No, I didn't spec it with that.
Okay.
And I probably should have. I didn't on the International either.
Well, the International you did the diff lock torque proportion.
That was just a list of options.
Oh,
Not
Oh,
added
okay.
in.
It's not in the spec.
all right.
Would you want that if you ended up with a
Yeah, I might
Silverado,
ask
you'd
him,
wanna
I might
add that
ask
in?
him if we could throw that in there for that price. But we don't have it in the other truck, and they're 4-wheel drive.
Okay. Now, just on this one, it says 68 cabin chassis, 63 subtotal. That's correct? With the
It's
trade-in?
minus the trade-in,
With the
yeah.
trade-in and everything, though?
And then
So,
you'd have to add to the right for the
all right,
extras.
so it's back up to around 70 then?
Right,
Okay. That's what make sure all the numbers are correct.
yep.
I said I said I was gonna keep quiet, but I don't see extended warranties on either of these two, whereas the big trucks there were.
Do they offer
There
such?
isn't. I didn't get it back from Silverado, and there's a list on the little truck that's a mile long, and they're expensive. And we're gonna be within like just a few dollars of making this truck.
This is also coming out of the highway,
Yeah, what we're using some of that
General.
money.
okay.
I think 30 or 35,000 of it we're using towards this. That's what we put towards the voters.
So basically, it's probably the Silverado then.
That's what my recommendation is, Silverado from McMullen Chevy.
This one, and that's your
But they're the only
Silverado.
ones that bid it, McMullen.
Them and Allegiance.
Yeah.
Yep. Ram called me 2-3 times with questions about the trade-in things, and then they never submitted a bid. And that's what we have now, is a
I
Ram.
didn't add any of
Sure.
it.
Oh, that's just that number.
I was kinda disappointed. We've had good luck with it.
Body.
Yeah.
So what are we
Good thing
looking
is
for
both these
here?
trucks have Allison transmissions,
Yeah,
where
just
nobody
that
else
number.
does, so that's a plus.
With the,
Right.
with the body is right there.
All right, I mean, is the Silverado not gonna work? I don't want to cut you short in the long haul.
Well, it's between that or the CV and the same truck.
Right, but
Right.
obviously we can put options on there.
Right.
And I know we'll be cutting it close, I understand that, within dollars, but
Yeah, no, Silverado's fun. They spec them out all the same, so.
Okay.
They're the same truck.
What's the lead time on that?
They hope they can get us one this year.
No?
Well, that's encouraging, maybe.
That's what they both told me.
Oh, yeah, the Silverado's got limited slip in the rear. Factory.
I'm guessing most of it's factory.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that was a couple things that, right, so the International didn't come with factory air, the Chevy did, so I had to go back and redo that, because I didn't know anything didn't come without factory air.
Right.
So you had to,
And rolled
had to get a
that.
price for factory air.
Have rolled that windows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the Chevy came with all that. That's right, it did come with limited slip too. I read through them, but I couldn't remember if that was in there.
Sounds like it's pretty well decided.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll move that we, accept the bid from McMulkin Chevrolet for the Silverado for a total of $57,876. Just moved and seconded.
Are we gonna add these on now?
They can't go on the Silverado.
That's the
That's
International.
only the
Oh,
International.
okay.
Yep.
I'll second it.
All right, Johnny seconded it already.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Abstentions?
Abstain?
Crazy.
You guys wanna go to bodies for them next?
Yep.
Yeah.
What's that? Gonna move we utilize HP Fairfield for the Tenco equipment, for the 10-wheeler for $113,250. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Yes. Abstentions?
Abstain?
Okay, that was the only bid. Medium-sized truck body and equipment, I move that we accept HP Fairfield's bid for the Tenco equipment of $71,450. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes, and that was the only bid.
And I did
Abstain.
reach out to 3 companies.
That's crazy.
All right,
On the very back page, that one ought to be easy. Gravel crushing in the East Road pit, approximate tonnage. I got a pile of rocks down there I want crushed. I just threw some approximate tonnage out. He'll stay there for as little or as long as we want him to stay there, so. Bigfoot, who's local, he's done our crushing. He does a terrific job. Recommend him for $3.20 a ton.
all right,
Make me gravel, stone, whatever, it's all the same.
entertain a motion?
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we give the bid to Bigfoot for $3.20 a ton.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
Abstentions?
Abstain?
And then we go to paving and reclaiming. Kinda should be easy too, really. I reached out, I think, to 5 companies, 3. I received bids from 3 of them. And R&D was by far cheaper than everyone else in reclaiming and paving. So I would recommend them.
That's who we've used for how many years now?
We've had them forever and they do a great job. But there wasn't the reclaim was 79 cents a square yard, the next cheapest was $1.08.
That's pretty,
Quite a change.
And for 2-inch binder, they were $74.50, the next cheapest was $78.60. For the 3/8 top, they were $75.50, and the next cheapest was $80.20, so it was a big spread in between.
yeah.
And AC could go up or down, and we'll have to adjust then, but they all do that, so.
I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, one question though. It does, I mean, it is amazingly different spread in pricing. Do you think the other guys are just throwing numbers at us and they assume that because of our relationship with R&D, we're going R&D?
I don't know. R&D was actually awful nervous GMI was gonna take it from them. They took a lot of people this year from them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think GMI does Henniker, doesn't it? Don't they?
They have the last couple of years. Yeah. Everyone, it seems like those companies kind of have their towns, you know, and they bid more aggressively for some reason. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
They've always
Well, they have a
done,
good working relationship with you, so,
they've always done very good. I mean, Advance has paved in this town. They've done good. I can't say that anybody's coming recent years and done bad. It's just they've been here.
Price?
This is my 6th or 7th year in this position they've had it, and I think they did it for Tim the last 2 years. So.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so they have a relationship.
And they put trucks on, put pavement down when they show up there, pain in the butt, because they don't stop for nobody, even the flaggers, but boy, they get asphalt on the ground. Things happen, and I like that.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we award the paving and reclaiming bid to R&D Paving for the prices that were presented.
Second?
Moved second, all in favor? Yes.
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 Abstentions?
Abstain.
Thank you, something.
Advance must be reclaiming the, by hand at a dollar
I couldn't
eighty.
believe that price. I said, you serious?
Yeah, really?
Reclaim it by hand.
It'd
$1.80?
have to be, more than twice as much.
Doing it with a mini rather than.
I don't know. I was-
Benji,
Actually
one
shocked
more
with
thing
R&Ds
before you
because they
disappear.
just bought a very expensive brand-new reclaimer from us.
Excellent.
Yep, so I know they got
I
brand-new
got one
equipment
more
coming.
thing. I assume that all you people saw the pictures that Kevin took down to the transfer station.
Yes.
I spoke with Benji over the weekend. He's fully aware of it, and now that winter is over, he will get to it to repair it.
The new timbers and.
Yeah, there's a post got.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
just-
ain't gonna fall down.
Yeah.
The cardboard's still staying dry.
Yeah, Benji, maybe you and I could talk, only because, I don't know who designed it. Like, I think, I'm gotten involved in the transfer station, so I spent an hour down there on Saturday just trying to get a feel for how that whole thing flows, and it's when I noticed the building. So I have reached out to a structural engineer. I sent photos off just because the construction of it, I don't know who designed it.
Maybe an in-house.
We did it.
Yeah, it was
Now
done
it's been
in-house.
up there for 100 years, so
Yeah, well, it's just that
not
what's,
over yet.
according to at least the visual, is that as that roof's loading, it's, obviously, you look back at the salt shed roof, and that salt shed roof is loading onto, 8 posts sticking out on the ground, right? You look at the salt shed foundation, and you look at what that load-bearing wall looks like in comparison. You're taking all that load and transferring it out on those posts. And this is just a visual comment by the structural engineer. His first comment to me is, when you're tearing it down, when's the demolition? That was what he assumed I was calling him about. Just because the design of it doesn't meet any kind of engineering standards, okay? It's somebody designed it. But there are considerations that should happen that, first of all, you're impacting the existing structure, okay, the engineered structure back there, the salt shed, because you're adding additional load and stress as that thing's pushing out. I mean, that's why those posts are moving. They aren't necessarily because they got hit.
Yeah, it is.
Well, at least according to the structural engineer, the PE, there's a tremendous amount of load on those outside posts. So you just kind of picture, you got all this weight, it's kind of wanting to pull away. And so I think it's at least worth, I'm not really sure if, as Director of Public Works, that's your expertise, and that you should be taking the risk, because,
No, and that's fine, but that green stuff that none of us have in our pocket and we didn't get this year, kind of,
the only problem is the liability of it, and if it's shaky. So I'd like to at least,
we can talk about it, but I think it's that or not do it, you know what I mean? We gotta keep that stuff dry. It's been there a long time, and it's got the right pitch with a metal roof so that it sheds the snow load, and they're knocked over because they get hit with a skid steer, so. I mean, I'd be happy to maybe, when we built that salt shed, the people that rode off on that were impressed with how well that was built. And those 6x6s have blocks on them have them great big concrete blocks on them for footings. They're not in the dirt, but,
yeah.
not saying that it couldn't maybe be stronger, but only reason it's broken, tipped over is because it's been hit with skid steers, which happens. It's nobody's fault. We try to pack in, when markets are tight, we try to pack in too much and kind of kitty wonka, and
All right.
it really should have, you get stuck with the skid steer because it's on gravel because we can't afford to pave it. But I knew it was broke. It has been probably for,
Yeah, it's not necessarily the broken carrier is what jumps out right away, but you cite those columns, so some have been pushed in, some have been pushed out. There's, I'm going to disagree with you just because of my 35 years' experience in the commercial construction industry. I think I think we've gotten lucky that it's standing there. There should be shear walls between, they should be connected back to the other building, if it was properly designed to do what it's supposed to do. And that's take 4 feet of snow on the roof on a bad winter, right? And have that other load loading onto it at the same time. So, as we all know, as the metal gets older, it doesn't shed as fast. We get pile up. As you can see, if you just look up at the roof line, the other metal roof is all bent up because it's had an amazing amount of load on it, right? So that's my position on it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think it's a good idea that the road department goes ahead and builds a backyard shed
Right.
and puts people at risk while they're doing the work. That's my position.
I'd be happy to hire someone to build one, but
I think we should look at it together before you just jump on it, because I know,
I don't have the money to do it. I don't have money enough to put toilet paper in the bathroom this year, so it's either tear it down or not, keep cardboard under the cover, or
Which we have to
put
do.
back what we have.
Yeah,
You know? And
yeah.
we have them old truck bays down at the bottom that have been there for 40 years that are way worse shape, and ain't fell on us yet, I guess. I'm not gonna argue that probably couldn't have been built better, that's for sure.
yeah.
But
Well, I think we should, I mean, I'd be glad to have a conversation with you if you're going to attack it and the rest of the board says they're going to give you the green light to attack it. I'd be glad just to share my opinion about how you might attack it and not potentially have something that all of a sudden just starts walking on you. And once it starts walking on you, there's no bringing it back.
Right,
And then it's going to impact the salt shed, and then it's going to be a major project. Because it's, when it goes down, it's going to pull in that wall of that salt shed,
yeah.
if it does go down.
I mean, I, for one, am all right with repairing what's there. Because again, we don't have the money to do anything. I mean, I understand your position, Kevin, and I completely respect it and understand it. It's just, I mean, with what we have there now, it's a hazard, more so to me, the way it is now, than having it somewhat repaired. And again, I'm just one board member speaking. I don't know what the rest of the board feels.
I don't think it'd be a bad idea to bring somebody in and give us some other ideas. Maybe there's some
Yeah.
reinforcements that can be done in certain spots to buy us time.
Yeah.
Until we can put together a plan and bring it to the town.
Plan, yeah.
Yeah. Don't misunderstand me. I believe that there is a way to salvage what is there. But I don't believe the prudent thing to do is to just go in and hook an excavator to it, lift
Yank
it
it
up
out.
and push the post over. And that's what they're going to have the time to do. That's where their expertise is. They're not even tooled to do anything but that, right? So, which is
No fault
a
of theirs.
reasonable way of, if that's, but I'm only expressing to you that there's a risk there. And if the board's willing to take the risk, because you really have to go down and take a good look at it, and I don't think you let your kids walk under it.
Yeah,
right now.
I haven't taken a look at it. I have not yet, anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think you let your kids walk under it. At least I wouldn't. So,
Yeah,
possibly we could get together and maybe we could come back if we come up with a plan on how you're gonna do it and isolate the risk factor. I'd be happy to at least pitch in on that.
Yeah, all right.
As long as I have a disclaimer you guys will sign.
All right,
Okay.
well,
sounds good.
And before you take off, good job this year with winter.
Yes,
thank you.
as
Oh,
always.
yeah. Was it Christmas morning?
Yes.
Yes, that was
Yeah,
bad.
that was crazy. I came out, I had to go to the farm that morning, and I came out of the driveway, and I was maybe driving 3 miles an hour, and the truck, just the crown of the road, the truck wouldn't hold. And that was with
The
Brandon.
worst ice I've seen on pavement in the 21 years I've done this.
Oh, yeah.
Division
And I
5
went to-
loved it in the center of town.
Yeah, they did.
I
And on
went
Mount William.
to, we went to do our dirt roads, and usually dirt gets worse, but it warmed up just a degree, and they weren't fun, but they weren't,
Horrible.
oh man, the tar, it took us 5 hours. I mean, nobody'd go, the state couldn't go either, and so
State
we,
was spinning out everywhere.
we sanded, helped them out a lot, I got calls and got thank yous from them, but we helped them out, and we had to use double the material to get around, and I lost 5 trucks in the ditch. We all got them out. I bought that 200,000-pound tow rope out west one year, and I went out. It's the best thing I ever bought, because you can get back and yank them. It doesn't hurt nothing. It just stretches, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
boing, you're out in the road.
Yeah, a little
And,
slingshot.
But shoot, boy, a couple of them guys.
Yeah,
Took an
it
awful
had to
ride.
be, yeah, going up Collins Ledge Road there, getting up that
was
hill.
scary.
Yeah, it had to be
Scary.
really scary. He went by, he was white knuckled when he went by
Yeah.
the farm,
Yeah.
right behind me.
It wasn't
He
fun.
definitely was. It was like, that was like at maybe 6 o'clock on Christmas morning.
It
Just-
happened fast.
Yeah,
We
just-
went back and got tire chains out. It was too late by then. We usually don't need them with these bodies, but it happened that quick. you
Yeah,
know?
quick, yeah.
It's like 24 degrees, started raining, and there's nothing you could do about it.
No.
On the holiday, no, that was well done. You pulled that off, saved a lot of people
Well,
from.
guys, thank
ended up
you.
in the ditch.
Excellent job.
Thank you, Benji.
Concord Resource Recovery, Benji. I got a letter from, right now, there's you're the representative and Bill Herman is the alternate.
Okay.
And it's time to renew again.
Yes, yeah.
Do you want to leave that the same?
Going back, Wheelberry, is that what we're talking about?
No, it says Concord, Concord Resource from Jim Pressure.
Yeah, that's what we.
You need to, the board just needs to appoint you and Bill Herman again.
Oh, yeah, I don't care.
Okay. And then did you wanna
About the bridge.
talk about the bridge?
Yes, please.
I don't know, but I'll tell you. Yeah, tomorrow I got invited to go to a panel to set in on, road maintenance. 3 other public works directors, the state been picked, and I think it's nothing to do with me, but I think it speaks to the maintenance program we do on our paved roads in this town to be recognized as, beware to go sit in on it, see if I have time to go, but I was honored. It's just it's a T-square class, and they just ask us to go speak and tell what we do, but to be recognized in this town that we do that decent job on our
Road.
paved road maintenance, I know there's naysayers think we gotta do things different, and we'd do more if we had millions of dollars, but it's, do all
The
right.
chip
I
coat
guess.
was a good idea.
Absolutely.
So, I think that's
It's
what
holding together.
they just, for other, it's a class for other public works directors, road agents, foremen to take, and they just ask you a question, what do you do? So the bridge, on River Road by Buzzell Hill,
Yep.
that bridge was red listed 6 years ago, maybe.
Is this the same one we were putting money aside for?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of
Well,
them. One of
kind
them.
of.
Yeah,
One
so, there's 3 red listed bridges in town, 2 are culverts that need to be replaced with bridges, and 1's a bridge. We got estimates for the replacement of all 3 5-6 years ago, and broke out what our 20% would be, and over 4 years collected,
That
a
number.
quarter every year from the taxpayers to cover that cost. In the meantime, because at that time, that River Road Bridge was posted, I think, 20 ton, the state made us post it, just like that. They came in and said, you gotta post it 20 ton. And we did a repair on it to lift the posting. We started appropriating our 20% of the money. Myself, Naomi, engineer that we've been working with, all went over with the head honchos at the state, sat down, says what can we do to get this bridge put up on the top of the red list program, because it's very important. Low Road Culvert was next in line for us. So we were being fairly proactive, and all of a sudden things came to a halt. The state, don't know, they'd say they went bankrupt, but their bridge funding took a tank, and the person in charge of the bridge program retired, and someone else took the reins, and everything that we discussed got lost. So we had to start all over again, and that wasn't easy. Couldn't get a hold of nobody, couldn't find out who was in charge, if all our stuff was capped. And so they called me a few days ago. Well, they emailed us about a month ago, I guess, said that this is what they're looking to do, and they called me a few days ago. We had to post it 6 ton by Friday. So that bridge is now posted 6 ton.
When is that one supposed to be done?
Well, it doesn't even have
That's
a
part
date.
B, that's part B.
That's part B, because finally got the guy, so the good thing out of all this that happened, right, is we found out who's in charge now, because he called me. He says, well, you know, what are we gonna do about this? Well, not really their problem, you just gotta post it. And I told him the whole spiel I just told you, and he says, well, we can look at swapping them, you just need to send us an email. So I went upstairs to Naomi Friday and sent an email, and I read his response, and I didn't like that, because he told me there was no problem with switching
Right, I
Lowell and
know.
River over the phone. He sent back an email that we're gonna have to go over there, have another meeting, and he's not positive, depending on the differences in prices. Well, I can tell you right now, the difference in prices is it's a quarter.
Steel's gonna be.
At the time, at the time of our,
Inception of the idea.
you're right, Low Road was 480 and River Road was $1.5 million.
Yeah.
So if you keep that differential, even double it, it's still gonna be, you know, more than a quarter, right? It's a sixth. So I don't know. He said that there can be repairs made, which irks me, because we're gonna have to make repairs, get the
6-ton lifted off it.
6-ton lift off. It's probably gonna, you know, be a few thousand that we're gonna have to spend. And I'd asked after, you know, and I realize can't have everything, but after the 20% for those 3 bridges was appropriated, I had asked to put 20 or 30, I think I said 20,000 a year in a bridge maintenance fund in case of a catastrophe.
Well, here
And
we
the
are.
feeling was, well, you've already asked for money over here. Well, it doesn't matter. This was a different pot of money for something else. We're gonna regret this day time, you know, this day comes, guys, and not you guys, but, you know, overall when we went to ask for it. And so anyway, we didn't collect anything, and
Here we are.
we do have a little money, but I don't know what's gonna cost it. This all happened Friday, so I don't really have any more information than what I'm telling you right now. I will be back, we're gonna have to get quotes, and I will be back requesting to fix this bridge. We have to, I mean, I don't know how the hell you leave that. Buses can't go over, nothing can go over it.
Right.
Legally, I mean, in an emergency, all of us emergency vehicles can. Kind of makes me a little nervous to take 100,000-pound plow truck over it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But
Right. How do
obviously,
you,
there's a fire right there or something. There's nothing illegal about that happening, but the school buses had to change their routes.
But obviously, they dropped it down for a reason, so it's not like
yeah,
it's really won't be on it.
yeah, exactly, can't ignore it. So did they tell you how you have to have it posted? Is there a specific posting to help?
It said I have to post on each side 6 tons, and I get the email.
No sign size, nothing? No distance from the bridge?
Didn't say so, no.
Nothing.
I'm gonna put my electronic sign out tomorrow, out on,
River Road.
near River Road.
Yeah,
The guy that's good to operate and that's been out sick, so if he shows up tomorrow, but,
Yeah.
no, he just wants pictures coming to and from it.
And you've notified the bus company, you've
I notified
notified
the bus
the,
company, I notified
the
the
business
fire
owner
department,
that
I
has the
notified gravel
biggest use
pit.
down there.
yeah.
Any,
Are
any
oil delivery
trucks now
companies
go
exempt?
over it, that's their deal, I'm not policing it.
No.
I don't think anybody's
Nobody's
exempt.
Nobody's
exempt.
So oil
exempt.
delivery companies would have to heed that also?
Who's that?
Oil delivery companies?
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
In
They end
fact,
up in the river.
Amazon. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
The same thing with,
They might make the 6-ton
Gearing, the
Amazon.
town of
Well,
Gearing,
yeah,
I
say-
followed them out the other
Amazon
day.
might, but I don't know.
UPS.
If
Town
you,
of Ware's not gonna, chief, no, we aren't gonna police, that's up DOT, we don't have scales. I posted it, that's my deal.
yeah,
Best thing that happens, one of them fall in the river and they can buy it.
if you end up in a if you end up in a conversation with them, is just make sure, I mean, just say, is there any, like, is there a reg about the distance, you know, how many feet? Like, should the sign be 200 feet back from the bridge? Just so that if one of those clowns does go through it, the insurance company can't claim that it wasn't properly posted, right?
Yeah, I can ask him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
just.
that probably wouldn't hurt, just to make sure it is properly.
I didn't even
posted.
have 6-ton signs.
Yeah.
I had a 10-ton sign, that's what it said, it's 10-ton. So we went and painted over it, got a stencil, wrote 6, and I had the signs down back for some bridge project we had 100 years ago, and we cut the top off that said bridge. That's what, because we had to have it done Friday.
Right.
So you don't get signs made in a day,
No.
Yeah.
so.
Benji, when
I'll
you
ask
start
him.
talking to DOT about what repairs need to be done to take
They
it
won't
off,
own up to that.
No.
no, they're
Gotta bring
not
an
gonna, they're not gonna
engineer.
tell you.
They have engineers that tell you that it ain't safe, but they won't
That-
tell you
that's
what
it.
you need to do.
Right.
Don't get paid for it.
That's
Yeah, well,
nice.
they'd be accepting the liability if they put their stamp
Sure.
on it and they don't want it,
Sure.
yeah.
So we'll have to start over. We've been here before, it's just, it sucks.
Who is our engineer?
Well, last time we used Kleinfelder, but it has to go out to bid, I guess.
So Kleinfelder did it all before, the
Right.
gentleman, he lives in
Because they were
Hopkinton.
they were doing the Peasley Road Bridge, right? At the
Right.
time?
Oh,
One in
he's-
particular gentleman has worked with the town for years and years and
Years.
knows all the ins and outs.
Mm-hmm.
He just quit Kleinfelder and went to someone else.
Jacobs.
So whether we use them and go out to bid, whatever the process is, I think myself and Naomi are gonna at least speak to him and follow his advice because he has all the files on this bridge
Yes.
and many others in town.
Yeah.
So even if he,
He helped us through the last repair
Yeah.
too.
Right, I remember that. That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
thought that was the whole Peasley Road
Yeah.
Bridge. Yeah,
Makes sense.
so,
So it's, I mean, it's in the works, they wanna meet with us.
Absolutely.
But the back pedal bothers me a bit, and I don't know.
bothered me a lot.
I don't know how much money is there, because you can't, to talk about, it says if River Road is significantly higher than Lull Road, well, of course it's gonna be, it's a bridge versus a culvert.
Culvert,
And
right.
they've known that.
yeah.
That's what's frustrating. Is
Now,
we
all of a
didn't
sudden,
drop the
it's
ball
no-
on
it's
this.
no
We
answer.
worked hard 6 years ago to get this in place.
Right.
And,
And now they're like, yeah, whatever.
see.
Because we had
it-
the letter that they couldn't find asking for the swap in
And
2016.
Naomi had it, so that worked.
I have kept my own letter.
Good.
That I sent to Nancy Mayville. Nobody could find it and said, we didn't know. That's why the can kept
Well,
getting
that's
that
right, here
road.
it is.
So we sent it over along with the email on Friday, and then all of a sudden we got a response.
Okay.
See, just before the very first time this happened, and the reason the bridge funding is in the tank is the environmental side of the state decided that any water crossing 10 feet or wider from top of bank to top of bank, not down where the water is, has to span that now. You can't have a culvert in there no more. So there's thousands of probably of culverts in New
That need to
Hampshire
come
that
out.
if you replaced legally, have to be bridges. So that took an underfunded program to start with and tanked it.
Tanked it.
About the time we were trying this river road job.
Yeah,
And who knows if you're gonna get any money out of the government this time around.
right.
Now with high fuel prices, they want to cut fuel tax. I said, well, that's great. It's the only thing we get road money from.
Right, yeah.
So, with that all said, let us know. We'll
Yeah, you guys know absolutely every word we know right
We'll-
now.
If they say we want to meet on a Wednesday, you tell us, we'll pull a meeting.
Okay,
We're not, this is obviously a top
it's
priority,
a big deal.
so if we need to pull a meeting together in 24 hours, we do it.
Okay,
So.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Ben, one other question, just, so when they don't specify, and, I mean, to drop it to 6 ton, they gotta be,
They have a small list of things. It's the stringers on the south end of the bridge at the abutment because, and I'm not sure they had them fixed last time. The rubber, there's a few things. There's a number of things, but the biggest thing was the rubber expansion joint had a tear in it and the water leaked down on the stringers and rotted the webbing. And
That's what happened on the north end last time,
no, it was the
right?
south end. It's
Okay.
the same end again, they said. And I believe, I read the letter right, I was shocked. And so that's what we repaired. And now they're saying it's the same problem. Now, we wash them every year. There was a few years prior to me, they didn't get washed. And anything with salt setting on it doesn't help. I don't think that Core 10 steel, that self-rusting steel, I'm not sold on that on a situation like that's all right where it's high and dry, but not down there where it's always damp. That bridge has a bend coming into it and a bend coming out of it. Wind can be blowing 40 mile an hour and there's no wind under that bridge, there's no air movement. Those are all things the engineers pointed out to us and you go down there and it's kind of true. So it's got a lot going against it.
yeah.
But the fact of the matter is now it's in bad shape, and the only way the state will fund is do a total replacement. It's got problems with the deck and everything now on the south end. So we can't even keep patching
Yeah.
so.
The reason I asked the
I think
question
it's a
is just,
poorly built design for that application, but.
yeah, obviously, if we're not policing it, it's gonna continue to be used, right? I mean, there's gonna be,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And is there a potential that we're gonna do additional damage by it being used? I mean, is there a risk that, not that it's gonna go in, but is it gonna be,
I imagine that's why they posted it. I mean,
yeah, well, they're probably posted because they're worried about failure, especially put, like you say, like a 20,000 pound truck over it or whatever, something. But I'm just curious about at what point are we potentially gonna take on additional cost and repair because we're allowing people to go across it, besides residential, right? We can get
Right.
6-ton residential can go
Well, I
all day
know
long.
we're allowing, it's just only do so much. All I can do is hang signs. And
Yeah,
if I was a truck driver and got pulled over by a sheriff on, I'd tell him, get their scales out. Ain't got none. So, I mean, I think that's a DOT. You
yeah.
can notify them.
But the truck weighs more than,
He wants to buy scales.
truck weighs more than 6 tons.
I know, I tell him, prove it.
Yeah,
I don't know, you know, you could put,
Yeah, that's all, just
well,
curious.
I'm gonna post the electronic sign out closer to 77. And I'll tell the guy from DOT when I talk to him next. I'm gonna contact him this week and touch base, tell him that. See what we can set up, so at least me and Naomi can go talk and try to get it switched again. But we're gonna, I don't know. I don't know any more than what I just told you, I guess.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Where we're going from there.
Well, keep us posted. We appreciate
Benji,
it.
you said you posted it Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Friday afternoon.
Friday, I think it was, I was up,
Post it late Friday afternoon.
yeah, I don't know what time it was, but the town of Deering's truck came out loaded with gravel right, coming in and out on that end, going
Yeah.
through, hauling
I don't
sand
doubt
or
it.
whatever. Well, you might want to call them
Well,
and
we
tell 'em.
posted it late Friday afternoon, so I doubt they were there after we posted
Right.
it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But their only other alternative
You gotta
route is
expect
down
it.
to
You gotta
114.
expect it.
Yeah, where are the,
They,
what is
they
the
get,
alternative?
a legal load can go south,
Right.
all the way down. This is another big problem. Even I know I'm gonna get to High Rock Road to the reclaimer.
Right.
They- That's the only bridge when it doesn't have a posting that you can haul a legal oversized load over.
Right.
How you get between Buzzell Hill and Colby Road?
You can't.
What do you do?
And that thing ain't gonna make the swing down at,
Yeah, yeah.
down at
Won't make the weight
Depot.
limit.
Yep.
Yeah, but that bridge down there is an E2.
The one down
Oh.
by,
That's no more than 100,000.
one on River Roads, right, each.
The culvert on East Road's an E2, it's no more than 100,000.
Right.
I guess you come in
Clough
Clough
Park
State
Road.
Park Road, I suppose.
Clough State Park
I don't know if
Road.
that might
I think
be-
that bridge is an
I think
E2.
that's an E2.
Yeah, and even then, coming out of
It's
there,
a big problem.
you'd have to get turned around
They're
down
gonna have
at
to-
Bilver.
they're gonna have to
There's no
make
way you
ex-
make the corner.
They're gonna have to make exceptions, but I hope.
Yeah.
It's a problem, that's all, so.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Keep us posted.
It isn't because we didn't try. It's very frustrating, A, that we're gonna have to spend money for nothing, and B, that I got most important bridge in the town of Ware that's posted 6 ton.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Literally.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
That's all.
Do you
Hey,
want to
Ben,
make a
give me-
motion to reappoint these guys while he's here?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to reappoint Benji and
Bill Herman.
Bill Herman to the
Three-year term,
three-year term for the
Concord Resource Recycling.
exactly.
Just give me a
Move-
call.
Moved and seconded.
We'll meet up
All in
on
favor?
Okay.
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
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 Thank you for coming in, Benji.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, I don't know which one of the chiefs did you arm wrestle over it?
Flip the coin. Oh, they've already decided. Recognize Chief Vizina.
Mine is allegedly quick.
Oh,
Let me just pull it up here.
These, you can talk about these two things?
Yeah, so first is after the passage of the warrant article to go to capital area mutual aid, one of the housekeeping pieces is we need to have a letter signed by the Board of Selectmen, basically asking to be accepted into membership into that compact. Naomi has that letter. It's really just a formality that, right, as the governing body, and it was approved by the legislative body, so we're all on the up and legal, I guess.
I'll entertain a motion to sign the agreement with Capital Area.
So moved.
Make a motion to allow Chairman Hippler to sign it.
Okay.
There's only one signature spot.
Yeah, I know. All right.
Okay.
Moved. Is there a second? Anybody want to see it?
Second?
All right. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna abstain.
You had mentioned or 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you need an update on that process.
Well, you guys asked about where we were.
Yeah, I
So
can do
while he
that.
was
or we
coming
can-
in,
Yes, please.
So, as you know, right, it was proposed, the warrant article passed. Those are the first couple steps. We did the letter tonight. We've been working on the workbook is how we'll refer to it. Many Excel tabs of basically collecting our data through many different things, whether it's run cards, apparatus, radio identification, right? As you transmit on the radio, it transmits an electronic thing so they know who it is. To contact lists, who are your selectmen, who's your police chief, what are their cell phone numbers, et cetera, et cetera. Common place names, you name it, it makes it into that workbook. It'll all eventually get uploaded into the CAD over in Concord to be used as part of the dispatch thing. We needed to identify what our response districts are. They will map all that. It involves taking E911 location data, street, all that stuff. All goes into that so that when someone calls and says, I'm at 144 North Stock Highway, it knows, it generates the appropriate response, depending on what the call for service is. Our target date of switching over is September 1st of this year. That'll result in a prorated cost to capital of 25% of the annual cost. That was all in the warrant article. That's being funded by the movement of some funds in what was the existing operating budget with a little bit of new money to cobble together to make that 25% happen. The town of Washington is the most recent town to join the compact. They did the same thing, right? They had their town meeting in March. They were up and running in capital by July 1st. So there's a lot of work, there's a lot of moving pieces, but we're slowly plodding our way through it.
Bob, we need to let Goffstown know we're moving?
Yeah, so we need to let them know. We have a 30-day minimum notice. I was gonna wait until we at least did this, just to make sure that we're still on that time frame, and then just give them a heads up that this is what we intend to do. We still need to get some data out of them, like flag addresses that are flagged and other information that they have to extract that to send it over to Concord. So I anticipate talking to the police chief over there within the next week or
Okay.
so. And that's about it on that. The other thing that I wanted to ask tonight, so at the safety complex, there's on the domestic hot water, there's a circulating valve so that it pushes the hot water or pulls the hot water through the building so that you don't have to wait for hours on end to get hot water at the kitchen sink. It's been an issue on our side of the building for a long time, and so apparently what had happened was, as relayed by Scott Dinsmore, was when we switched out the water heater back, whatever that was, the circulating system that's on there now isn't really compatible with that Renai instant water heater thing. So he did some investigation into that, sourced out what would be a better solution than the one that we have, which is really no solution. So I'd like to proceed with ultimately looking to get that up and running again. I don't know if we're at that point to say, yep, the price that we had is the price to go with, because I just don't know if that's really the final price. But continuing on into that, trying to find that solution so that we're not, we're wasting
A lot of water.
a lot
Gallons.
of
Yeah,
water.
so it's a single source, a sink, that you're looking for, the hot water at the kitchen sink?
No, our whole side of the building, you wait forever to get hot water. 'Cause it's
Forever.
making hot water for, let's say it's making 5 gallons a minute, and then it's traveling.
Right. So it's multiple sinks, multiple locations,
Traveling 30 some odd feet.
yeah.
Minimum.
So we couldn't just do a single source on demand under the cabinet?
Oh, no, because there's also showers over there too, so
Yeah.
it couldn't be under
Yeah.
sink.
Okay, got it.
So is
So the
this-
only thing I don't know, and I guess the chief kind of confirmed that, is you don't get hot water in a timely fashion on your side, do you?
Yeah, no, it takes several minutes
Yeah.
to get hot water.
So this is just a quote he got from Granite Group?
Yeah, Granite Group, it's really, like I said, I don't know if it's the electronics of how it senses whether or not, but the system that we have is really designed for that old-fashioned standalone gas hot water heater
Right.
with a tank,
Yeah,
and not the Renai system that we have, and so it doesn't work, essentially.
yeah.
They have one, I guess, that, because it doesn't have hot water on storage, so it hasn't worked for quite a while.
So do you want to move forward with that? Is that what you're looking for?
I'd like to move forward with the concept. I don't know if we want to, I wouldn't say, I don't know what the
Okay.
number's on the bottom of that sheet, 880?
880.
I wouldn't say that number because I think it could be more than that. I don't know if you want to say up to 1,000.
Well, that's
And
not,
again, I was
that's
kinda
not
looking at
including
that-
installation or
That
anything.
government building fund.
Yeah, these are
Right.
just parts.
That's just parts only, right?
That's parts only.
Probably double
If,
that.
if
anyway.
Scott is the labor piece of that, I don't have an issue picking that part up. It's really just trying to,
Source the piece.
one, that the government building fund is the
Source.
the money source, and then kind of continuing on as to how we're gonna fix that problem.
You're gonna see your heating bill jump.
The
Make a
police-
motion.
The police pay that, so it's okay.
Yeah,
Make a motion to allow the fire chief to continue searching for a water circulation device to spend no more than $1,250 in parts out of the government building maintenance fund to return back to us with a labor estimate afterwards.
Yeah, and if it doesn't happen, or we find a solution by next meeting, 2 weeks, I'll stop by and let you know.
I'll second it. All right, moved and seconded, all those in
can
favor?
I ask one question? Sorry.
Yeah, no
Was,
discussion.
Yeah, so John, why did you go to 1,200?
Lately, cost of things are going up, and the longer we wait, maybe there's no availability on this.
Yeah,
Yeah, what's the date on this?
No, it's just yesterday
Yeah,
or last
yesterday.
week.
but still, there might be other incidentals.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
okay, that's fine. That's
But
just
it's a-
curious.
But
just
that's
curious.
not
It's up
lab-
to.
That's not labor in there, you may be
No,
pushing.
no, he's approving 1,200, or
Just for
we're
parts.
voting on
Yep,
is $1,200 worth
$1,250 in
of parts.
parts.
We have a quote of 880, so I'm just curious where the 1,200 came
It's
from.
substantially different. I'll be back.
Right.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, it's just an up to, it's
Sure.
not, whatever, so.
Is that yours?
Sure. All right, moved and seconded, any more discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Before you disappear, Chief,
Uh-oh.
Naomi, did you have a chance to ask about the radio comments that were made by Mr. Dearborn?
About the,
Yeah, about all that extra money that was being stated. So, Mr. Dearborn had mentioned that we would still be required by capital area to pay up to $400,000+ for capital area to move into town. Is that accurate?
I'm not entirely sure what Jack was speaking to.
That makes two of us.
I watched the meeting, and so I can only offer this, is that we had talked at some point in the radio discussion over the last 2 years, of utilizing Mine Hill as a simulcast site for capital as we kind of rebuilt everything.
Yep.
We went out and tested all around town with capital area, and we had a couple of sections of town that voice was fine or acceptable, but the issue was we couldn't open the pager, the two-tone pagers in a couple of spots. So that's where that discussion came from.
Okay.
Even as late as 6 months ago was the concept of whether we were going to continue to look to do a simulcast site or not. Now that we're at the finish line, I know you guys are trying to come under a certain number. I think that we'll be fine.
Okay.
With the system, the turnkey system with capital. I think the fail-safe piece solution could be, and I don't envision this happening, is if we can't get on the portable, right, to capital, the issue isn't hearing them. If we can't get them on the portable, we're still gonna have the repeaters in the vehicle.
Yep.
Capital Area's system is designed to provide communications at the car to dispatch. It isn't designed for portables to dispatch anyways. And the fail-safe being, after the police department radio system is built, is we'll just switch over to the police frequency and call Goffstown and say, we need whatever that we need.
So just to be clear, there is no added radio infrastructure cost to switch to capital area.
Correct.
That's what I need to know. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're reprogramming only.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
That definitely clarifies that.
Yep, absolutely.
Good to see you. Okay.
Thank you.
Next,
Chief Moore.
I'll give you my notes so you don't have to write something.
thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Send it in a Word file
Thank
as
Danny
well.
Jean.
Thank you.
So, just a little background information. Obviously I'm gonna be talking about budget and what I'm looking for, and I'm not looking for any answers tonight, just kind of direction you want us to go as a police department
Save money.
based on.
That's a direction.
Okay, that's what I'm
That's
kind
a
of looking for. So we actually found way back in 1993, which was a while ago, for the annual report, they got Southern New Hampshire to figure out how many officers were needed. Now, for a population of 6,400 at that time, it was 12 officers. We still have 12 officers. Not that we need more officers. Luckily, we're in a town which has very low crime, and we can get what we need to do with 12 officers. But, you know, that I make that point to emphasize how much value you get out of what you put into the police department. Based on today's population of over 9,000, based on the numbers, which are still current, it's actually a little bit over 2 per 1,000 residents, according to the University of New Hampshire. We should have 18, but, you know, we're good with 12 at our current coverage. Of course, we increase coverage, we're gonna need a couple more. When hired, I identified multiple budgetary shortfalls in the police department's budget. In 2020, I attempted to accommodate for them by eliminating the prosecutor position. That was $78,000 that we tried to reallocate to make sure I could get the officers we have the equipment they needed. Of course, the budget failed and has repeatedly failed. The budget, my budget in WPD it's available. Anybody can look at it. It's on our police department's website under the Chiefs tab. Currently, we have a shortfall in equipment of $46,603. That's pretty significant. That's about 20% of the money I need for equipment, not counting salary and benefits and all of that, just the money I have to purchase the equipment needed. We were able to compensate for that shortfall because we've always been short. Well, now that we're fully staffed, we're not going to have that funding. So the deficit is real. Of course, this is compounded by the failure in the warrant article to pass a car. So since I've been here for 3 years, we've requested a car. Each of the 3 years, we've had one request filled. So do the math on that. 8 cars, one filled every 3 years. That means they got to have a life cycle of 24 years. That's just not going to happen. You're lucky if you get 10 out of them. So pretty kind of poor planning. And you know me, I obviously always look at Facebook. I always see comments that, you know, the police department wants this or the chief's asking for that. I don't ask for anything. This is just me making recommendations on what equipment the town needs to have emergency services available as it needs. If we don't have cars, if we don't have equipment, we can't go to calls. It's that simple. Of course, we've been talking 24/7 coverage. My first recommendation is that's not going to happen unless a budget actually passes. The budget I have now will support about 11 officers. So my first recommendation, department has a hiring freeze. If someone happens to leave, and I don't think anybody's leaving anytime soon, the first one I believe will leave will be Officer Perslow when she gets her law degree, which is in a couple of years. We freeze that position until a budget actually passes so we can support the 12 officers we do have. I did look at the call service between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., which is when we don't cover. Last year alone, there were 90 calls. There were more than that, but guys coming off at the end of the shift, dispatch would call, see if they're still around, and they'd go back and answer calls. So there were more than that, but there were 90 which nobody from where actually answered. And I kind of looked at how they're handled. Most of the time, it's just our dispatch calling the state police, letting them know, and unless it's a high priority, they come to pretty much all the alarm calls or the accidents, but other than that, they're calling the complainant, call Ware PD in the morning when they get on duty. Looking at that too, I do have one recommendation, and this would be up to the fire department once because they do cover 24/7. 14 of the 90 calls involved were for a fallen tree in the road, a traffic hazard. The fire department's here during those hours, they can possibly go out and,
Handle it.
yeah, just put barricades around until we get on duty and can make the appropriate notifications. Mtg gets on duty. That's just a recommendation. That's up to the fire department. But we're all emergency services. Another thing I looked at is, since we're calling state police, what authority does the state police have to come here? And actually what I found is none really. It's in RSA 106B-15. They can come into jurisdictions. They have jurisdiction for towns 3,000 people or less. For towns 3,000 people or more, they can come in when requested to act by an official of another law enforcement agency. And if we're not on duty, we're not making that request. So they just kind of do that as good faith. Knowing that, they can also tell us to pound sand anytime we want. Just throwing that out there. So here's the rest of the recommendations I have since we're looking at the budget deficit. First thing I looked at is play money, pretty much. Patriotic Festival. Is it ethical to plan and pay for a parade and a party when funding for basic safety equipment has been denied? That's something you guys got to answer. Last year, we spent about $1,300 in overtime related to that event. Immediate hiring freeze of the ACO position. That's $16,000 in my budget. We already talked about the hiring freeze of the officer. VIN verifications only completed at Ware Police Department. They got to bring whatever they want us to verify there because they can always go to, I believe, a garage and get VIN numbers
State
verified.
inspection station.
Yeah, exactly. So if they want us to do it, we're not going to put the miles on the car to go to them. Not going to pay for the gas. They can bring it to us.
So
and
you
we'll
not
do the-
issue a ticket if they show up without any plates?
Well, they still got to do their responsibilities.
Just giving you a hard time.
But no, we're not. Obviously, they're making an effort to get it done. Depends on who it is. How's that, Naomi?
I don't need one.
Lockouts only performed in emergency situations, and that would be if a child or an animal is locked in the vehicle. That also saves gas and mileage on our vehicles. We're already doubling up in patrol cars. Now that saves mileage because we're only driving one car instead of two, and gas, but it also increases response time. So there's a trade-off in that. ACO duties, reorganize them. So we'd only investigate animals being at large if they're a threat to the public or injured, or on a primary traveled roadway, which is pretty much all the state roads. If they're on a secondary road, we're not going to respond to animals at large anymore. They live in that area, the owner can find them. Unless it's, the animal's injured or obviously in need, sick, distress, something like that. Animals can be dropped off at Ware PD if staffing allows, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to set up a citizen assistance patrol, maybe 5 citizens where if somebody drops a animal off to us, we can page them out. One of them can come in, take care of the animal. If we can't get an owner to respond, which happens occasionally, they'll take them out to the SPCA using the ACO van. So obviously licensed, no criminal record, we'll do basic background on that. Finally, I'm working with the finance director to propose a couple of memorandums of understanding to the CBA. And I know we're getting ready to go into negotiations, but I've got 2 which might have immediate cost savings. One is the adoption of comp time, and it'd be straight time for straight time. It's no accumulated time and a half, and then you'll see the policy once I run it by the finance director and we get it all straight. And then an annual vacation buyback program. Obviously, to buy vacation at regular time, you don't have to pay the time and a half to fill that vacancy. So finance director said that made sense to her too. But I'll be coming out with, once we get them in writing, I'll bring them to you, propose them, see what you think.
Okay.
But those could potentially impact my budget. Any questions about all of that? Yes,
So,
ma'am.
I know you said you needed $46,000 for equipment.
And it's not all equipment. Even though we got rid of the prosecutor, so I can go just a quick
Well,
list.
what I wanted to say to you, Chief, was that I thought when we were going through prior to voting and stuff, we bought vests, we had the money in here, so you had vests and
Yep.
lasers, and what else? There was a couple other things I can't remember now,
Yep.
because I don't have my other paperwork with me, but I thought that brought you up to good shape, so you were in good
It
shape.
did bring us up to good shape. Everything's in life cycle management. So if I've got 14 officers, tasers last for 5 years. I've gone over there, right? We didn't buy 15 tasers. I think we bought, 11 or 12? So we still needed 3, which if the budget passed, we'd get this year. I have 0 in my budget for tasers, 0 in my budget for body-worn cameras. So we spend
cameras.
a little bit over $8,000 a year for body-worn cameras. We still pay for a prosecutor, criminal attorney. That's $13,000. Dispatch just had almost a $10,000 increase that'll be coming. And then, of course, ballistic equipment, my helmets, my vests, and my stuff like that. Everybody does have a current vest, but even if no one leaves, I still need 3 vests a year to keep them current. 3 times 5 is 15, right? And I got 14 officers. Everyone does have a current vest. I'm still using the vest from my old police department, but
We
it's
have-
still good.
You're saying we have 14 officers now?
Correct, 12 full-time, 2 part-time
Okay.
positions. So we always go with the total of 14. And since 15 divides better, we
And,
just,
and then the other thing you said, we're not gonna have full-time coverage.
well, you don't right
We don't
now.
know.
No, but I thought, and when we had 12, I thought that this is what's been said.
That's a promise by a former chief that, that the
once you had
current, that
12.
current police department doesn't do because of the contract that the police department has.
Right, I believe that's CBA, when you went to the 2 officers minimum, which makes sense, we are a big community. It's very unsafe to be out there by themselves. You need 2 officers on duty, and you can't do that 24/7 with 12.
Correct.
14, I could probably do it.
Right.
But of course, we'd have to negotiate with the union with that too.
Right.
You say we have 2 part-time officers now?
We have 1.
You just said 2.
Right, we have 2 positions, so you always have to plan for the vacancy. If I hire somebody, which I'm not planning on doing,
Okay.
you have to be able to equip them.
Is your current one back?
Yes. She should actually be pretty close to being done with field training,
How often is she working?
probably once a week. Right now, because she is going through field training. Once she is done with that, maybe twice a month or so, right around there.
Is there any
Yeah.
benefit to that?
For us,
Yes,
yeah, she can fill shifts.
on her schedule.
Yeah, that's fine. It's better than nothing. I mean, it's not paying somebody overtime because she doesn't get overtime.
Right.
Right.
She's straight time, no matter what she does.
And like I said, any void she fills is benefit to us.
Right, and really, so she's part-time at her previous employer also. So,
She's no longer full-time there?
no, she's
Okay.
part-time there also. And obviously, and not, well, I don't want to get too much in her personal situation.
No, we can, that's
Yeah.
a conversation for another time.
I see her wanting to become full-time on our department eventually. Put it that way.
Okay.
It's fine.
So it makes it easier. We don't have to recruit anybody or pay for background. It's easy
Equipment's
transition
already
for us.
there.
Yeah,
She's
makes
already
sense.
full-time certified.
Yep, with a lot of experience. So,
So it should be a good shoe.
yes,
What was-
absolutely. But that's up to her, you know.
What was the
It's
ACO line? How much for that?
16, a little bit over 16, 16.3 for everything.
Okay. And the prosecutor's line still exists today, does it not?
It does, but it's unfunded.
Yes.
Because that was contractual when we had the previous prosecutor. And when the budget didn't pass, since it was contractual, it went away.
So that was
So we lost all
76
that
is gone.
funding.
78.
It's gone.
78 is gone. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Did you have a question?
No,
Oh.
no, I just, again, we appreciate the hard work and,
Oh, it's all-
you know,
it's all
Rob,
good.
Rob and Peter,
Glad to
thank
be here.
Paul. Yeah.
So Chief, did I understand you correct? You're gonna refine these numbers and bring them back to us a little more?
Yes, with the 2 MOUs, I'm gonna get the wording down with that to make sure nobody can manipulate the understanding since it's a CBA contract.
Yeah.
And we'll run it by Mr. Broth before it goes to, make sure it's all
It's
tied
the
up.
attorney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's our,
He's a
he's our
labor
labor attorney.
Yep.
And then we'll bring it back once all the boxes have been checked. And I just kind of throwing that out there because why push it now rather than just wait for negotiations? Because it has potential to save
Yeah.
money.
Well, it's important you threw some things out there that people might object to, and it'd be better if they aired their feelings now
Oh, sure.
than after you get to the finish line.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Well, we gotta cross the finish line.
Yeah. And then I did have one more thing, back to the range. I'll leave the packet with y'all so y'all can look at it. We talked to, actually not we, Sergeant Frisbee did a great job researching this. We talked to Primex about possibly reopening the range just for our use down at the DPW. Benji's all on board. He said he'll clear it out for us. Primex does not have an issue with it. The only way they would have an issue with it is we added a building for something. We have no intention of adding a building. We looked at posting it. If it's approved for use, we're gonna post all the sides, no trespassing. We're gonna run a range flag, because obviously anytime before we went hot, we'd want audio visual signal to indicate to everyone that it is going hot. And just to let you know where that's coming into play. When we are transitioning to our SIGs, which will have the red dot in them, it takes 20 hours of training per officer. Going through Goffstown Fish and Game, we have to go to their president, who has to approach their board to get it approved for them to let us to use it, and then they have to find a volunteer. So we're talking 4 Wednesdays in a row to get everybody through that training. It's a lot of coordination, which if we had our own range, we could easily do it and we wouldn't be a burden to Goffstown. And Goffstown also doesn't always work for us because they don't allow night shooting. We have to go somewhere else for night shooting. So if we had our own, our own place where we could actually do what we need to do to keep our qualifications up to par, then that would greatly benefit us. And where we do see a deficiency is we currently have one person who's an instructor through the academy to teach firearms. We've tried to send 2 officers who both did not meet the qualification score, so obviously we need to shoot more. That would be a big benefit to us because we are paying overtime. We don't have anybody to shoot our instructor, so he has to go somewhere else for somebody else to qualify him, which cost overtime. So there is overtime. And if we had to go through Goffstown, we ran the numbers. It'd be significant on overtime to get everybody trained up on the new weapons, where if we had our own range, it wouldn't be overtime. We could do it on Wednesdays. Piece
You
cake.
said Primex had an issue with the building. What about a Connex box?
No. If we built something, just because
Okay, like a shoot house or something
for
like
whatever,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
Something with a roof where we would reload or something. But we have no intention of building anything,
Okay.
and we're not going to keep anything down there.
I wasn't sure if you needed like a storage box for targets or.
We can run that back and forth. Any questions about that? But I'll leave that packet with you. You can just let me know.
And this will be closed to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
Posted no trespassing.
Is it gonna be fenced in or open?
No, it's open. It's just a pit with the berm in the background. Benji said the berm consists
I
of
just wasn't sure-
tires
I
filled
wasn't
with
sure if we were
dirt, so
going
no
to-
problem there.
I built it
Oh, thank you.
years ago.
And what day would that be happening?
As far as
The
for-
use of the range?
when we needed it. Like, so we would do, say you approved it, it wouldn't take us long to get it up and running. Once we got up and running, we'd be using it 4 Wednesdays in a row so we can get everything through weapons transition.
Is there a cost to reset this up? Because I think some of the targets.
Couple
were
$100,
restored.
that's in there too. We just need, no, we have targets and everything. We just need the trespassing signs. Ryan was just talking about an old telephone pole and then the gear to actually run the flag up, a rope, a hoist,
Yep.
and the flag itself. He's got, I think, $200 and something for all of it. This is what he estimated.
So, I remember sitting on this board and Primex telling us no, that the range was not physically able to support shooting.
It's too low.
It didn't matter who it was not, the range itself was not safe.
That's why I was amazed they already said no.
This is what I remember.
We've got the guy's name in there who said, no problem. Every police department should have its own range.
And I don't disagree with that, but we shut it, the public was going down there, and I have no problem shutting it down from the public. It's a huge liability on our apps, 100%. But there was also, if I remember correctly, there was questions that the range was not suitable for any firearms. Didn't matter who it was, that the berm wasn't tall enough, that there wasn't enough side skirt or something. There was a list
Yeah, it
that
wasn't
needed to be
tall
brought up
enough.
to speed, to bring it up to par. I don't remember what the list
I
was.
don't know, maybe he was thinking commercial or something because everybody was
I don't
using it.
know.
But essentially, anybody can go in their backyard and shoot. You're responsible for what you put down
Right.
range.
Right.
I will
Yeah,
say,
we're not-
though, I think at that time, that particular subcommittee that was actually doing all that work was for both public and PD
Correct.
use, not specific PD only.
All right.
Whereas maybe the liability changes with that, I don't know.
I don't know.
And this
yeah.
gentleman that he spoke with, has he actually seen our lot, or is he just going based off of the idea of?
Police standards. Yeah, he didn't, he had no concerns when Ryan talked to him.
So has he done a physical inspection? I think that's the question.
No, we could get him to before we actually open it up, though.
Yeah.
It seems
Well,
like there's a
I know-
conflict
I know
in
there were-
between two different peoples in Primex, so I think it wouldn't be a bad idea.
I don't
to
think it'd be a
invite-
bad
No,
idea
that's
to have
no
Primex
problem.
come down and take a look
Yeah,
at
sure.
it. And then have Primex, on Primex letterhead, draft a letter and say, you know,
Okay.
we Primex say that we're PD and only where
Yeah, and
PD
we'll,
is.
we'll go over with one, same thing we went over with you guys.
I just, yeah.
Would the range be being used on the weekends?
No.
Okay, that's-
Wednesday's our primary day because everybody's working.
Yeah, but, I mean, would an officer, if he decided after work he's gonna go, or on a Saturday?
Not on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah. The only reason is, if you are at the transfer station while they're firing.
Yeah, no.
There's like, I mean, again, guns are guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and there are certain limitations because people come up from Nashua and make gun ranges in my backyard all the time. And I have to call in, they have to have them posted, and then they have to talk to the guys that are shooting the guns, say, yeah, you're on public land, but you have to shoot into a bank, and there are certain criteria, so. But I just think that the whole idea of just gunfire on a weekend up there, just because the amount of traffic that we have going into the transfer station on the weekend, children,
Right,
adults can deal with it just fine, right?
yeah.
I'm on
No,
my-
we have never shot on a weekend since I've been here.
Cool,
Everything's Wednesday, pretty much.
That's fine.
great. I don't need
All right, yeah, I would just, like I said, I'm not opposed to it, I just wanna make sure that Primex on their letterhead actually puts boots on the ground and says, yes.
Two
this is
different
acceptable.
stories.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Just because of the past conversations we've had with them, that's all.
Piece of cake.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, no other questions, I'm all done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
All right. Oh, the department head committee items list quite a ways, but that's okay. I like it.
I'm gonna step away for a few minutes.
Hang on. All right, we'll wait for Selectman Van to return before we do the manifest.
Naomi, do you want this?
Sure.
Yeah, I could have sworn that there was deficiencies on the ground as well. So I just want to make sure that that's,
I remember them saying that the banks weren't high
weren't high
enough on
enough,
the backside
and that
or
there wasn't
something.
maybe enough enclosure side to side or something, I don't know, but again, I just want them to be on the ground, that's all.
Yeah.
And as, you know, Selectman Van said, that was probably a different conversation where public was involved at that time, so.
I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, there's, like I said, when the state police have come out, they talk to the guys that have decided they're gonna make this old logging landing into a gun range. They explain to them the criteria.
Right.
the deal.
And I just, again, we're the town, I just want to make sure that liability is as
Oh,
low
yeah,
as it
Actually,
can possibly be.
We used to have, when I worked down there, there was a gentleman in town that had a 50 caliber. He'd sit out there by where the compost pile used to be on that banking.
Yeah,
You didn't know he was there until he touched it off. And I'm telling you, boy, you come right out of your skin.
Right.
He'd shoot twice, and then he'd go home, but he'd never,
that's all you can afford, probably.
yeah. I mean, I went up to him once, and I says, you know, it'd be nice if you at least let us know.
Say hi before you go down.
Yeah.
Boom.
Anytime there's gunfire nearby, it's unnerving. I mean, you just wonder.
Especially if you don't know what's going on with it.
Exactly, exactly. And it is sort of out of sight down there. You
Yeah.
have to be looking for it.
Waiting for you,
Thank you.
as always.
Don't call
That's right. Never do that with me. All right, move to the manifest. Move to order the treasurer to sign payroll accounts payables checks dated April 7th, 2022, is including the following manifest. A payroll manifest of $67,548.91 for weekly and fire monthly payroll. Accounts payable of $95,682.91. A supplemental accounts payable of $11,903.45. And a Ware School District manifest of $400,000 for a total of $575,135.27. The following manifests were previously ordered to be signed at the March 21st meeting of the Board of Selectmen as a payroll manifest of $78,255.32 for weekly, monthly, and quarterly payroll checks dated 3/31, and accounts payable of $86,884.26, checks dated 3/31. As there is no scheduled Selectmen's meeting for Monday, April 11th, further order the treasurer to sign payroll checks dated April 14th, estimated to be about $75,000. Further order the treasurer to sign up to the amount of $90,000 for accounts payables that cannot wait until the next scheduled meeting. Reports and actual check amounts will be reported to the Board of Selectmen by inclusion in the manifest memo in the next scheduled meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Brings us to the minutes of 321, excuse me. Page 1.
Just a grammatical change. 2 paragraphs under guest. Chairman Hippler welcomed newly elected board member Kevin Cahill to the board, and once again thanked Jack Meany. I think instead of 2, it should be 4, his years of service to the town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else on 1? 2? 3? 4? 5? 6? 7? And 8.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of March 21st, 2022 as amended.
Second it. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Administrator's report.
I'm gonna ship down to you a couple last minute things. It didn't make the box, but I wanted to make sure you did check signatures correct. All right, there's an intent to cut timber, and there is 2 abatements. One is somebody that purchased a camper in 2021 that paid the 2021 both bills, but didn't realize the prior camper didn't pay anything. So when the letter went out to remind him, it's really not his responsibility. It was billed to someone else. So that camper has left. And then this one here is $11.79, which is one of the taxpayers over at the one of the mobile home parks came in for an abatement immediately following the second half because it was a big increase. She has paid the bill, but felt that the application, she's been waiting long and wanted to pay the bill prior to lien, so asked if we could waive the $11.79 cover interest. I said I can only have $5, so that's the only one I can waive. So there you go.
Okay.
Joint loss management, we did have a discussion with some employees. There's a lot of interest in rejuvenating. We've talked about how we can I've got some suggested between department head employees that would encompass all departments, library, DPW, police, fire, and here. But what I wanted to do is, the chairman's currently at the library. She was out this afternoon, so before jumping into asking employees and filling it, I really want to speak to the chairman first to see if the interest is still to stay, and we can go that way. Bob Vazina was here tonight, capital area. I don't have the two-way or Granite State telephone, because two-way, you wanted me to ask about Benji, and Granite State, I need to find
The
somebody
other
to
thing
talk
we
to.
need to talk about too about is we appropriate $33,000 to make a temporary fix for the interim time between all these improvements and today. Is there any headway on that?
I can talk to Bill. I don't, that
Okay.
was gonna be, I thought we talked about using that $30,000.
Well, the problem is it's gonna be a year and a half before the new radio
Right.
system's up.
So at least a eval check and see what
Okay.
they can do.
Yep. The contracts, you guys approved the contracts way back at the end of November into December. I started putting the contracts together. They require insurance, which you guys, we need updated insurance certificates. So what I'm gonna ask if you would do is, because I gotta work with various companies, various different dates for insurance, if you would authorize me to sign the contracts on your behalf, once all the updated insurance information is received, so they could be finalized in between meetings versus having them wait.
And we've already approved them.
You've approved them through your minutes, it's
Right.
just, right now it's time to get lawn care started, but I don't have updated insurance, so I didn't have them ready for tonight.
Okay.
And they could be in tomorrow, they could be in 2 days from now, but instead of waiting till the 18th,
Okay.
I could get them started, because they really should. Actually, Peter started before, because Peter started, because
Did a
the
great
200,
The
the patriotic, the Pine Tree Riot is this weekend, and they wanted it done before the tents got set up, so he went ahead and
You
did
did
it.
a great job.
But I'm just saying that he hasn't got a contract yet, but
Make a motion, we allow Naomi to sign contracts for
lawn
the
care.
following contracts, lawn care, IT, cleaning service, and forester. Is there any others?
those are the only ones I'm waiting for right here.
On behalf of the board, and then just report back afterwards.
Yep, I'll do that.
So, moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved, seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, tennis courts, we don't have anybody. What I understood is that we were gonna meet over there and look at it.
Yep.
And I'm happy to open a conversation if you wanna talk about it, if Kevin wants to talk about it with the
No.
pictures. We're all gonna go over there
On the
at
18th.
6:30, I'll
Yep.
remind you. And then
Meet
we'll
there.
meet over there and come back here for 7.
Yep.
Okay?
Is that sufficient, Kevin?
Yeah, that's fine. I
Okay.
don't
Okay,
I don't think our position's gonna change. I mean,
I don't think so either.
that's what.
The ARPA, not ARA, it's ARPA. Remember back at the end of the year, we did some purchase orders for those. I'm gonna put together a scope of work or an RFP for you guys to look at to make sure you're happy with that. And then I would like to ship those out, but I'll have those for 2 weeks from now so that we can get those and get in line to, because I know we had air purifiers, ACs with HEPA filters, water system. I think that was all I had off the top of my head. Collins Cemetery, I'm honestly, that's a back burner thing until I can get someone to work with.
Yep.
Cemetery trustees, there's still some work to be done with that. Largely, I need to figure out from the funeral homes the course of action.
Yep.
I have been approached this week for 2 burials in July. So it's reality that we're gonna end up taking over.
Right. and
But I
here.
don't understand is, these are already sites that have been bought.
Mhm.
But what happens for somebody that wants to? I don't
Buy
know.
a site.
Or who's gonna do that? I mean, we don't take over for 90 days.
Right.
What do we do in the meantime? Because the article said 90 days.
And who actually
Which-
physically digs the hole?
Well, that's what
don't know.
I guess that's what I wanted to know, because I'm just gonna say from, if I needed a burial, I'd call the funeral home, and I guess I thought that was taken care of.
Right.
But I don't know that without
don't either.
asking.
Yeah.
So there's some,
I believe it is taken care of.
that's what I thought, okay. I would think that would make sense.
It makes sense, but I don't know.
But I don't-
Usually the funeral directors, I know, I do the ones on the Quaker cemeteries, the funeral director will call me, because he knows I'm in charge of it, and I'll take care of it. The funeral director now is probably gonna call you.
But again, somebody gonna dig the
So-
hole, ain't gonna be me.
Right.
But the other thing's gonna be verified is, do the people know where their lots are? Because some of these people don't have anybody in town living anymore, so you're gonna make sure that you're gonna bury them in the right spot.
Well, they have the deed to the lot.
Well, they have the deed to the lot,
Right.
They have the map.
Right.
I'm just saying, I don't know. I mean, I've been to several, more than I want to, but it's.
You're not
you show
looking,
up-
you're not looking at the logistics on the back end.
No.
I mean,
More
my
important things.
thought would be maybe you reach out to 2 or 3 contractors that have mini excavators.
What's what I
See if they'd
wondered,
be willing to,
be on a
see if they'd
list,
be willing to be on a list.
and let the funeral home take care of it?
But who's been digging them right along? They've had the same people. I mean, I think somebody just told me, Bob,
I think, Big Dog dug them.
I think you did too.
I think they were digging it.
Yeah, they were digging them.
So that needs some work, other than me.
Yep.
I mean, I'll reach out and contact someone, but I don't know.
Right.
And we need to think about that, because you are
Absolutely.
gonna take over in 90 days.
Right.
Asbestos testing, it doesn't look too bad up there, I drove by. This week, I'm gonna see if I can get them to come up there
Okay.
and give us a price so that we can get that done and taken care of. Now, I was approached by someone to see if we were interested in letting them take it down. I don't think so.
No insurance?
No, I just think that whether it
It's gonna slow things down.
well, no, I'm just saying curiosity as to what was left might have been the reason for asking.
Right. Right.
You know,
There's
there's
an
stuff
underlying
still in
tone.
it. Yeah.
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 Just, these are gonna stay on here so we don't forget. Benji and I are gonna start working on the driveway bond policy. Right now, it's over, because they have to pave it anyway once they're open. But we'll have that. Rabies clinic, again, I'm just gonna remind people that it's next week, because we're not meeting Monday. April 13th, 5:30 to 6:30 over at the town hall, and it's $10 a pet, and they take cats and dogs. Much to Ricky's dismay. The 22 default, as you know, Chief Moore's been over to see Beth. We're still crunching numbers. I think we'll be in a pretty good place. I got some suggestions as to where we can do things and where we can take the representatives. I'll schedule for an upcoming meeting.
Okay.
I did find a third person. I'm gonna skip down. You guys can read my days off. I didn't reach out to CAD. Was that called, Kevin? Was it who? Casey? No.
For the copper.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah,
I can't think of his name.
Rod roofing.
Yeah, there we go. So he's upstairs on my list to get hold of for the copper roofing. The bathroom renovations, Ricky sent me two. I came up with a third one. I'm gonna skip it this week for letting him over there, because they're picked up a key and they're doing all of their practices. So I'm gonna skip it for this week, just because they're in there practicing for the play. So it won't be happening this week, but I do have the three, two Jamie and another one. And then Benji just needs to go knock on the door to that gentleman.
Okay.
To see where we're gonna draw the line.
Yep.
And I think that'll be good for us.
Oh, absolutely.
So let me go back. I did remove one, but I think you all got this in your box. So there is $99,000 in the Clinton Grove Fund.
Yeah, that really took a, really messed it
So
up.
just, I did remove it, but indeed, John was correct. The Clinton Grove, Beth gave us all what's in our other
Yeah.
funds. So you all have that information. That's why I removed it.
So I would say that we can figure out what needs to be done up there and get it out to bid. So maybe by this fall, they can
Get it
Do
painted.
something.
do something.
Well,
This needs to get scraped and painted.
I think, but if we put it out, everybody's busy. I mean, I've tried to schedule someone to come to my house, and it's been since we finally got it put on the schedule.
Tim doesn't wanna,
Well, that's just coming to my house, so.
well, he doesn't need to go to your house
Yes,
first.
he does.
Priorities.
I was on the list last year. I also am just gonna hand down, we need to think about this. You guys all got one before, but seeing how I got multiple copies. This is a rental housing ordinance. And, we talk about who is designated, cause if you were, oh, did I not bring it down? There's a House bill that's currently going through in regards to the short-term rentals. And there's, you have to do it before July 1st, but there's stipulations. You have to include the fire chief, and we have met 90% of them, but I want you to look at them, and Chief Vazina is gonna come in and we're gonna go over this to see if this is what he can do to perform in order to make the rentals. This can be adopted through you guys at a public hearing,
Okay.
posted public hearing, and I think we really need to consider it. We talked about this last year. We talked about it, I think, in this fall with the rentals.
Yeah, this is like for 1 week, 2 week rentals.
It's the Airbnbs,
VRBO.
the VRBO, oh, is it?
VRBO.
Thank you.
You're
VR. I don't travel
I
that
think they
often.
actually say a word for it, but Verbo. Or
So
something.
that's a copy that, honestly, that was worked on at the planning board level. Kevin, just so you understand, that started at the planning board level, And then, they had tossed around several ideas. It got sent over to town council. Town council put it in the form that you have it here. But like I said, there is gonna be a sit-down with the fire chief to make sure that,
All the
he would
codes,
be able to do and perform
what he needs to.
what needs to happen as far as occupancy and things like that to be safe for everybody. So, it would just require a public hearing when we're ready. When we've got that all together, Laura looks at it again, I think we can, if anybody has any concerns, please let me know. We can have one revisit with Laura again. But I think it's the right move for us. I think it's only fair that we make it safe for everybody.
absolutely.
Two-bedroom doesn't sleep 12.
No.
But, when you're paying by person or whatever on the Airbnbs, I think there needs to be some sort of inspection done. Yeah.
Inspections, yeah.
So I'd ask it that you guys all look at it. We're supposed to meet this week. I think this week we're supposed to meet together and go over to see that it's something that he can do.
Sure.
But that's town council's put together, not mine. And that's honestly all I have for you.
Brings us to correspondence, other business.
Something real quick. I want to bring up a topic that one of our citizens brought up, Mr. Campana brought up, the gutters, and he made a very good point about
No tax money.
no tax money. And it didn't even dawn on me, and thank you, Frank, for reminding me, is that was all part of
The agreement.
the agreement. So, I mean, we can authorize them to replace the gutters. Gutters to be installed, but it doesn't come out of taxpayer money.
You already have. You authorized it last year. And the
Why,
guy,
why did we talk about it 2 weeks ago?
because the guy that was gonna come and do it, that was gonna do the roof and the gutters, didn't have insurance, if you
Okay.
remember
He
correctly.
couldn't be on a
Okay.
roof.
Right.
Right. But yeah, I think,
But-
and I'll take a step back
Go
here, but
back.
you, as a board, still need to authorize who's doing the work and that they're
Yes,
insured.
yeah, because we're still a steward of the building.
Yep.
Right.
It's just
So we
no
just need the
money.
bids. So,
Right, yeah.
Sherry, do you want to work on trying to get the bids for that so we
Yeah,
can?
see if we can get it done.
Now, either it be, like you said, a grant, the Historical Society, but not taxpayer funded.
Right.
And thank you for reminding me, Frank.
Yeah,
You're right.
thank you.
Because there still needs to be oversight here.
Correct, yeah, we're- like I said, we're the
It's your
stewards of the
building.
building.
Yeah.
Right.
Seeing as how I have the floor,
Oh,
there was an email that was sent by a gentleman to me regarding a property in town, and I forwarded it on to Naomi to continue on with that.
Yeah, and we did, and would you like the answer?
Sure.
So if you look it up on the tax card, it's map 408, 162 on South Stark Highway.
Oh, okay, so,
if you-
just for clarification, we're talking about property on South Stark Highway that was
Yes.
inquired about.
Yeah, so they sent an email to John, John forwarded it to me, and their question was, is this piece of property buildable? 7.5 acres right on South Stark Highway. So I exchanged an email with him, and he came back and forth, and then sorry, the light dawned a little late, but I brought up the card, and right in the middle of the notes that.
Says not
that-
buildable.
It says it's not buildable, and it had something to do with the rights were given to the state, and it gives a book and a page, so that answers our question.
Okay.
Because it hits the market, it's on for 20,000, and it's 7.5 acres right on 114.
But it's not buildable?
No, it was, the rights were given away, according to the tax card, there's a deed reference to.
Oh.
So I did reply to him, he's all set.
Okay.
But anybody else that might be watching and want to call and ask about it, it's not buildable according to, you can go to the state and see why not, but
You
it's
just
not
pull,
buildable.
yeah, you pull it up on the tax card.
Pull
it
on the
says-
tax card, right in the middle, it gives you all the information you want to know.
Next thing I had, unless we're gonna continue on with that, I received an email from Parks and Rec Director that was directed at Naomi regarding the lawn care contract and what that includes for Purington Field. The request has been made by WAC to have Stockhouse remove the bases for some to replace them with some breakaway versions. I don't think
Not
that's
his
part of his
job,
contract.
it
And
wasn't.
being, park budget's already very slim, it's been slim for years. My personal feeling on this, and I can forward this along to everybody else, or I can just read it along. Hello, Naomi. WAC is asking us to have Peter take the bases at Purington Field out so WAC can replace the old bases with safer breakaway ones. As far as I know, removing bases is outside the terms of Peter's contract with the town. I've spoken with Peter, and I'm skipping some stuff in here that isn't relevant. I've spoken with Peter, and he's willing to quote the job for WAC, but he doesn't want to be responsible for setting the new bases in place, as at this time he doesn't know what bases have been ordered. Am I correct that the contract with Peter that Peter has with the town does not cover the project? As far as I know, that is correct.
That is correct.
It is
So-
not covered.
So it was correct. Just to let you know, Peter and I did talk today, this afternoon, for another reason. Obviously, I was looking for his insurance.
Yep.
And he asked about it, and I said, I haven't ignored, Lisa. It's the fact that it's not included in what you put into bid.
Yep.
Right.
Second of all, we kind of had an understanding, because although he does a lot of work, he does a lot of work for Park, he does a lot of work for WAC, I tried to stress to him that even though he does those and gets a quote and gets WAC maybe to pay for it, it still is our piece of property. We need to know what he's doing.
Absolutely.
So somebody might reach out and say, hey, can you give us a price on taking away the cement and putting in breakaway bases so when you slide doesn't break an ankle?
Yep.
That's fine, Peter, but we still need to know what, A, they're asking for, and B, it needs to make sure that we've approved that before we do that.
Alteration
So
of town property.
he's on the same page with us, and I will reply to Lisa with that same thing, even though she might be watching tonight, is it's bottom line, just like I said to the building, it's your field, you're responsible, it's your liability insurance.
Right.
So if you're taking away something or doing something, it's, I get it, Ware Athletic Club is where the kids all play their sports,
Yep.
but it still rests here for decisions.
Correct.
So
So-
my feeling on this particular email, and we can discuss it if you choose, but my feeling on this whole thing is, we are default budget for, I don't know how many years in a row. Parks budget has not increased. They can't afford to pay for this.
No.
And I don't feel this falls under government building maintenance funds.
No.
My feeling is if WAC would like this done, they have $50,000 in their till, is what I'm being told. They can afford to do this.
Yeah, if they want to donate the
They could pay Peter directly.
exactly, and just us authorize it.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
That's my feeling on the whole thing. I don't know if we want to discuss that, but
I think it's done.
I think
But-
that's the way I feel about
Are
it.
you gonna be responding, John?
Naomi
I
will
can,
respond.
I can just reply because I did talk to Peter today. I don't have a
Okay,
problem
that's
because
fine.
Peter and I are on the same page.
Typically, well, at least, I don't want to speak out of turn, but typically, the selectmen don't reply back. It usually goes through the town administrator.
Okay,
Right.
Just, it's easier to have one focal.
got it.
And then,
Aren't you full of them?
I think that was it for tonight.
Well,
Excellent.
you had a non-public, you said at the.
Oh, yeah, I'm still having non-public. Yes, that's not changing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done with
I've
other
got-
business for
I've got
now.
one thing if everybody else doesn't. You guys all set?
I have a couple of non-public things, that's all.
Okay, and you?
I'm
All
all
set?
set.
All right, we received an email from, myself and Naomi did, from Dick Lutters regarding the Piscataqua River Local Advisory Committee. Dick has been on the committee since 1994, and he is stepping down. And he just wanted to thank the town for nominating him as the rep all these years. He's actually the chair, and I would like to thank him for his dedicated service to that board for all these years, and from 1994, so that's a
And now you
long
need a
stretch.
replacement though.
But now we need a replacement. So,
Yeah, one of mine?
and no, I do not. But I just want to bring up to the board that Mr. Lutters is stepping down.
I think we should solicit that to all of your boards,
That's correct.
conservation,
And I
planning, zoning.
believe, at the same time, we need to solicit a second position, because I believe Mr. Clow has also said he wanted to step down from the Piscataqua.
Nope, he's
Southern-
Southern.
No, Southern
Planning.
Hampshire
Southern
Planning, that's
Hampshire
right.
Planning.
He
I
wants to
mean,
step
I
down
can
from that.
circulate that both. There has been
Please.
some interest at the planning board level,
Yep,
and now you've got some alternates.
Yeah.
yep. So I think
So I
that'd be,
think if
it'd
we
be great to
circulate the
solicit
two
both of them.
available positions to all your land use boards.
Yep. I think that would be,
Would Frank
probably.
like to volunteer for any of those? No?
Wow.
I don't think I'd get nominated.
I'll
we'll
nominate Frank Campana. No?
Come up to the podium, I got a question to ask you, Frank.
You want to serve? So, we also received an email, I think it was today, regarding stone wall, and we'll look into it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll look
You
into
guys
it.
gotta go driving by, you
Right.
guys.
Well, like I said,
Photographic proof it
We'll,
was there.
we'll look into it.
You
That's
know?
where I'm gonna leave it, so.
Okay.
But I just wanna mention that it was received, that's all. Yep. Any other correspondence, other business before we go into non-public? All right, I move that we go into non-public under RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2, C,
See, for me.
C, and then,
Kevin,
well,
is yours C?
Pardon?
Is yours
He
the
probably
letter
doesn't
C?
know.
Oh,
reputation, pay.
What's the purpose of your
What's the purpose of
non-public?
your non-public?
Without
It's
getting into specifics.
Strictly updating you guys on previous things we've talked about, i.e. transfer station. There's also, Jack Dearborn made a request of me to make to the board a consideration.
Okay.
So the transfer station would be open,
That would probably be public if. the
Okay.
tra-
and we can
transfer
still do
station-
that.
we haven't shut the
Fine.
camera off.
You know, I haven't shut the camera,
Fine,
yeah.
let's shoot through it. Okay, transfer station update. First thing was Jack, when I met with Jack Dearborn on March 28th, Jack mentioned that he and another individual were working with Benji regarding a revamped recycling transfer station.
Okay,
Based on what I had made a request to the board to take the transfer station as a point of focus for myself, I just want to make an understanding, is this a 3-person project or?
Did we ever ask Jack Dearborn to do this? It
I
doesn't sound
don't
familiar
believe
to
we
me.
did, this doesn't sound familiar to me, so.
Okay, so that's, at some point,
Just so, at CIP, Benji has talked about doing something, and I think maybe that it was taken, that maybe we're getting down to the end of our years on some payments, that maybe a transfer station might be able to step in, but has it official?
So
No.
nobody's asked Mr. Dearborn
No.
to do all this stuff.
Oh, I don't know who the other person is.
It doesn't really
Doesn't
matter. It's
matter.
just, I think this
Yeah.
is, you know, again, I think the board approved you,
Okay.
Kevin, to do
Okay.
this, so
I just want to make
Yeah,
sure.
that's your ball to run with.
that's your ball to
Okay.
run with.
All right, so I have visited the surrounding towns' transfer stations and taken a good look at the way they're operating. We do have an interesting invitation from the Goffstown Transfer Station. They've invited us for an after-hour tour. They're willing to put in some extra time, 6 o'clock or something, if we're interested. It probably is the transfer station of the future, okay? Scaling, traffic flow, how they handle domestic waste. They obviously have trash cans being picked up all over town, right? But you can still use their transfer station. Very efficiently run, 2-man operation. They run the entire transfer station on only 2 men.
Wow.
And much greater, their hours are much less than our hours at the same time.
Also, what's their head count versus us?
Um,
If the majority of their
Foot traffic.
refuse is being picked up.
Yeah, I don't know that question. I know that they ran $180,000 over their scale last year.
Yeah, but if that's all commercial haulers, that doesn't really equate to
No,
our
it's
system
not
here.
commercial haulers.
Okay.
That's residential hauling. In all their commercial haulers are, they're all taken to a single stream facility somewhere, is everything
Right.
that's coming. out
Probably
of the
Wheelabrator or
black
something.
Yeah, black and blue box, right, depending on what they're picking up. But just, they do not have mandatory recycling per se because the residential blue container is the recyclement that goes
Recyclable.
off, right? So at the facility itself, it's more geared towards the demolition, the metal, if you come in with a bin, a trash bin, nothing bigger than a 30-gallon garbage can, you can dump that into the general waste, okay? Anything bigger than that goes to a pile. So mattresses, furniture, those things are paid for and/or weighed, all at 7 cents a pound, okay? I think everybody's pretty familiar with New Boston's. Dunbarton's is a little bit different. The bottom line is that this is a year and a half out, or a year out anyway, before we get, I think, what are going to be 3 models, okay? basically going that full recycling transfer station model.
Full separation.
Yeah, full separation, which, and then a full single stream or a hybrid form of that, one of the three. But immediately, the thing that comes, that I would think the board should act on is that we're currently taking furniture and mattresses. We, the superintendent feels that we're basically a dumping ground for those. He can't identify who's bringing them. They, the vehicles are not marked. They haven't been marked. There's just no way. He has trailers pulling in with 20 mattresses on them and box springs.
This is our transfer station.
Yes,
Okay.
and in the hopper they're going, and there's no way to find out where they're coming from.
May be coming from out of town.
Yeah, and the average mattress weighs 120 pounds, okay, so we're talking 2 tons of material minimum on that load
On one trip.
in one trip, which impacts us by 140, let's say $170, that load, wherever they came from. And his opinion is they're being picked up. He's got an ad on Craigslist. I come get your mattress. I got a place for it to go.
Yeah, because our commercial annual fees are what, $100 a year?
More than, I think we,
They went up.
Oh, it's 200?
it went
Yeah.
up to 200 a year.
But these aren't coming from,
They aren't coming from the
they're
commercial
not
hall.
coming from the
Just
permanent
coming from,
commercial
just somebody
haul.
coming in with a pickup truck.
When
and
I
Well,
was
at that
there,
point, that might as well be commercial.
yeah, when I was
Nobody
there,
has 20 mattresses in their house.
when I was there on Saturday, just standing talking to Mike about a totally different issue, a pickup drove up and 3 box springs, 3 mattresses, and in the window they went. No way to identify who this person is.
Well,
Do we not have the window stickers
That-
anymore?
There again, I mean, that's up to the employees.
No, the windows.
To walk over and ask.
The window stickers are not, the problem with the window sticker is that they get a new vehicle, right? We're in this 3-year cycle, they get a new vehicle. And there's no mechanism for him, which is one of the suggestions I have, is that when we do begin enforcing this, because we're gonna have to, because we can't afford to run the place, bottom line, is that he needs to have a database of some sort, so he can ask that driver some questions and be able to say, okay, where do you reside? What's your sticker number? This is what happens if you drive into any of these other, they basically, anybody that has a scale, the first thing they ask you is, where's your sticker? You don't have a sticker, what's your sticker number? Where's your address? Who's the name on the tax bill? There's a whole series of questions they ask you, they fire away. If you hiccup, they say, see you later, and out you go. We don't have those mechanisms, and we should have those mechanisms. But that's not one of the suggestions I am asking the board today to consider. One of them would be to immediately start charging for the mattresses and furniture disposal, as all the other towns do. I have created a package for you guys, actually, that show the other 3 towns' fees.
We had this before. We used to charge for the. for the-
$5.
Yeah.
Okay, the fees are in there. You don't have to, we can talk about this and put it on an agenda topic, because this is gonna be a late night if we start picking through those numbers. But that's pretty simple. The next one is, I believe, it would be the wisest thing for us to do as we go into more cash transactions is to eliminate cash transactions. I think we should go credit card and check only until we get a scale. Once we have the scale, it doesn't matter because everything is being tracked through the software. Okay? So everything that comes in, at that point, we wouldn't be charging just for a mattress. We'd have the flat 7 cents per pound, whether it's a chair, whether it's demo, whatever it is, there's that fixed rate. It consistently goes through. It's trackable. We know what house it's coming from. There's a whole bunch of information. So we can see, is there a pattern here, right? Is somebody bringing us a whole bunch of stuff every day? Because what they do is the commercial guy comes in with the permit, he pays 14 cents a pound. The resident's paying 7. But the guy that's making a living doing this is paying 14, okay? So I don't know where people stand, but I believe that if we're gonna have hundreds and hundreds of dollars being exchanged on a daily basis, potentially on a Saturday, I prefer not to have that in cash,
Right.
okay? because, and that and then the next thing is that every transaction should be recorded. In other words, so that we would know how many mattresses, not just have a handful of cash.
The cash register down there that they use,
Okay.
is that all in it?
But, okay, from experience, because I do use our transfer station, and quite often is, guy walks out to my trailer, he looks at the trailer, he scratches his head a little bit, and he goes, $60. Peel out $60. You need a receipt? Nope. He walks in with $60 in his pocket.
Right.
That's the way it works. Okay?
Right.
It's fair enough, but it's just, I'm not saying it ever happens, but $60 goes into somebody's pocket, and how we track that $60. Was that $60 for demo? Was it $60 for a mattress? Was it $60 for the furniture? You know, to be able to decide what we're gonna do, we actually have to know what we are doing.
I think really this is a discussion we need to have with Benji here.
Correct, yeah. This technical,
Yeah, this
with
is,
Benji.
this is strictly, like I said, these are only suggestions
Yep.
for us to consider,
Yeah.
and of course, he would have to be involved.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never
I
mind.
think any further discussion, he needs to be involved, because he may have some different insight, instead of, I don't want you to waste your time doing something
Okay.
that maybe he's already started.
Okay.
And item number 2 on your front page
Yeah.
is my
That's the
non-public,
non-public.
so please do not talk about that yet.
Okay, got it? Well, I wasn't, the only thing I jumped over those,
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
and we can talk about the rest of them. And then the last one, item number 4, I believe is non-public too.
Number 5 definitely is.
And 4, I think would be. Well,
Oh, 4,
4 is related to what?
4, no, that's not non-public. No, that's public.
okay.
Yeah.
So, as part of trying to understand the variance process, I was led to this chart,
Yes.
okay, when a visit to the building department. And this has, speaking as a citizen here, my time frame to file an appeal with the ZBA was running out, and I was being directed to this chart. I asked at really the last moment, and is this chart, which is confusing at best anyway, is this something, is it law? Is it something the selectmen had voted on? And I was told no.
That's
So I
correct.
immediately kind of put the chart away as not, I couldn't rest my hat on this.
Right.
So filed the appeal because my 30-day window was running out.
Yep.
Okay, so that this, I believe it's important to the board, we're being represented on this chart, to address this. This is hanging on the wall in the building department right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm game to talk. I remember where that incepted from. I remember seeing that.
But
But-
if it's not, is it enforceable?
Negative. This board never accepted it. There was more of an informational, this is how it's supposed to work. And we filed it.
Right.
But as far as that being the
Adopted
adopted policy of the town, not to my knowledge.
I don't think I've ever seen it, but I don't go into I've never been in the building
Yeah.
department either, so.
Yeah, well, the building department currently has this on the, hanging on the wall down there, and is currently operating by this. The building department, Romeo, our building inspector, actually walked me through it, explaining to me this is how it flows, okay, this is where you're going next. I mean, at first glance, I asked Naomi, well, okay, you gotta put me on the conservation agenda, you gotta put me on the planning agenda. When I discussed this with Jack Dearborn in a meeting I had on the 28th, he said, no, you're wasting your time. Don't go to those meetings. And at that point, it was back to head scratching, right?
Yep.
Right. Where do I go?
And hence the appeal, and then hence I think this is a matter that definitely should be,
Attended to here.
you know.
We had put that on the agenda for maybe not the 18th, but maybe.
Well, so, I've been asked to put together a joint meeting with us, planning board, zoning board. Romeo's would like to come, Katie, Tony.
Can we make it a work session rather than?
We were gonna make it a work session,
Yep.
and that's what I wanna do, because that, flow chart. There's been a lot of discussion in the last few weeks as to I think it's backwards. Because now Romeo will say, is the building permit on class 5? If the answer's no, then I don't think the first shot is Article 1711. I think it goes to the selectmen, who then, 67441, gets review and comment from Benji, Planning Board, Conservation, to see if whatever road can take the building.
Right.
If it can't, then why do you send someone down the variance path?
Right.
If there's no way that, without upgrading to class 5, would you consider that? So I think the conversation, there's a lot of different paths, and we've all had conversations. Tony's talked to me, Romeo's talked to me, I've had the planning board talk to me, and there's a suggestion that we all get together at a
I would
work
agree.
session
100%.
and have a roundtable conversation. The other thing is, and I don't know if this is, I have not asked Lori yet, I'm thinking that town council
Should be there.
may also be part of it, because 67441 is a state law.
Correct.
And to see that we're all hearing the same thing from her as she defends us on these cases. But at the same time, I really think we need to sit in the room and have a
I
discussion
agree.
similar to what we did upstairs when we met with the Board of Fire Wards one night.
Yeah,
And I would do it upstairs,
Yeah.
because I think it's more conducive than to these few seats.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that it would just be a work session. We'll still post it and anybody can join us, but I just think we need to have a discussion because that hasn't been adopted and it's not law,
Correct.
but, I mean, I can ask them to remove them.
Please.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that, because,
Yeah, until
Until this,
we.
is there a night that's not good for anybody?
I'm not available this,
Wouldn't be this week, it might be next week.
next Monday, I'm not available.
next Wednesday, and next Tuesday, we have my park meeting here. Wednesday, I'll have to get back to you. Tuesday, I've got park meeting here.
Well, I'm just, so, the ZBA meets tomorrow night. I just want to be able to, I
Yeah,
don't care
I-
if it's the following week.
yeah, that's,
Because the applications aren't due to the zoning board for May until,
that's fine. I'm okay with it.
so, I mean, if
Well-
I throw out some dates,
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, the planning board meets what, the 13th or the 14th here?
14.
Thursday.
14th, so
14th.
that
no, I'm
can't,
not gonna do that night, I'm not gonna do, no.
No.
The
it's-
13th
it's
is
be an off night for
conservation.
everybody.
It'd have to be an off night for all,
Yeah.
just because I
Just-
think it's gonna get into detail.
Figure some dates, throw them to us, and we'll just reply, we'll call you. We'll reply individually to Naomi. Don't reply to the
The
group
group.
email.
Okay.
Reply individually to
So I can
Naomi.
schedule a work session,
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
okay? 6:30 for start,
Yep.
Yeah, I think that works.
for everybody, okay?
Mhm.
All right, so I'll send out an email.
Yeah.
And I'll have for now, the charts removed,
And Naomi, you can take me off the planning and conservation.
okay?
All right, anything else to discuss in public?
In public, no.
I don't believe so. So we'll move to go into non-public under RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2C.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, roll call? Yes?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. You can
Kevin?
shut the TV off. And we'll be adjourning afterwards. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful night.